Chapter 1265. Hearing that, Eulefia looked at Dustless in panic. Only a handful of people knew about her relationship with Dustless, and now this bastard was going to reveal it to the world in front of Riaz. How could Eulefia keep her dignity in the future? Without a doubt, she would become a laughingstock. The Demon King Sazax was cuckolded? This explosive news was enough to shake the entire world. Kid, don't spout nonsense. I don't know you. Eulefia's face flashed with panic, losing her usual calmness. Watch your mouth. Eulefia cursed Dustless in her mind. Who was Riaz? She was Sazax's sister. If she knew that her sister-in-law had something to do with Dustless, what would she do? Just the thought of it gave Eulefia goosebumps. She glanced at Dustless with pleading eyes, wanting to compromise. Seeing that, Dustless smiled strangely and ignored Eulefia's pleading eyes. Miss Eulefia, have you forgotten what happened between us the other day? Dustless's face was filled with grief as he shouted. Then you take it off yourself. Enough. Eulefia's expression changed. Not giving Dustless a chance to speak, she displayed the authority of the Demon King's wife and said, Riaz, I have some personal matters to discuss with her. It's too complicated. You may leave first. Eulefia, don't tell me. Riaz's eyes glowed. She was not a 3-year-old kid. From Dustless's cheeky expression and Eulefia's angry face, she could roughly guess what was going on. All right then, Riaz, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped. She realized that she could not leave as she pleased. She had worked so hard for half a day, but she did not achieve her goal. Did this mean that she had been working for Wuchen for more than 2 hours, and her jaw was about to dislocate, but in the end, she did not get anything? She could not help but glare at Dustless, her beautiful eyes spitting fire. Don't glare at me. This has nothing to do with me. It's all her fault. Dustless looked innocent as he pointed his thumb at Eulefia mercilessly. You ruined my business. Don't think I'll let it go so easily. Hearing that, Eulefia's face stiffened. She was furious. Riaz was still there. Wuchen was purposely making things difficult for her. Why aren't you leaving? Seeing Riaz dilly-dallying, Eulefia's tone was a rare sternness, as if she wanted to chase her out. I will remember this debt. I will definitely not let you off in the future. Riaz's delicate nose, Riaz and left gracefully. What's the meaning of this? You're doing this on purpose. Do you believe that I'll take you down with me? Eulefia lowered her voice and asked. Her hoarse voice was clear as if she had seen through life and death, as if she really wanted to go to hell with Dustless. Do you think threatening me will work? You want to take me down with you? Didn't I tell you the other day? You're the most suited to be a servant. Dustless laughed at Eulefia's threat. He found it hilarious that a dwarf was threatening a giant with such confidence. Dustless could not suppress the ridicule in his heart. You're looking down on me? Seeing this, Eulefia was infuriated. She lightly stomped her foot. Her beautiful eyes burst out with thick killing intent, and her whole body surged with a frightening ruthlessness. You ruined my plans, and now you want to take me down with you. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll think that I'm made of mud. His pupils rolled, and the scarlet eternal Mangekyo Sharingan took over his entire eyeball. What kind of eyes are those? Why do I feel this way just by looking at them? Eulefia said softly. She felt as if she had been electrocuted just by looking at the strange crimson magma. Even the so-called strongest silver-haired queen of annihilation had become a defenseless little girl, let alone a dimensional invader like Dustless. Even a 7 or 8-year-old child with a sharp weapon could slaughter her in her current state. Let's play something interesting. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan emitted bursts of red light. Although Eulefia realized that something was wrong and actively avoided Dustless's gaze, under this monstrous eye power, she was nothing more than a lamb with its limbs bound, suppressed by the monstrous eye power. Damn it! Eulefia cursed. Her body was suppressed by a mysterious aura. Her waist was bent, and her delicate face was almost stuck to the ground. Eulefia was on the verge of breaking down. She suddenly felt that the scene in front of her was extraordinarily familiar. It was almost the same as the scene from last time. A thought that made her break down appeared in her mind. This fellow. Could it be that he wants to ride me around again? Eulephia's body trembled at the thought. She was going to do the most humiliating thing in her life a second time. It was worse than being skinned alive and swallowed alive. Thinking of that day when Dustless used her as a horse and rode her around naked, Eulephia was filled with a rare sense of fear, especially when Riaz was watching from the outside. If she sneaked in and found out that her sister-in-law was having an affair behind her brother's back, what would happen? Let's talk nicely. Don't mess around. Eulephia gave up her dignity and begged for mercy. Dustless was shameless, but if Riaz saw it, she would be too ashamed to face anyone. Chapter 1266. Seeing Eulephia begging for mercy, Dustless became even more aggressive. His gaze seemed to be able to see through half of a human's clothes, causing Eulephia's heart to palpitate uneasily. Dustless's clear eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Any clothes were a joke in front of him. Put away that vulgar gaze of yours. Eulephia couldn't take it anymore and shouted. She quickly turned her back to Dustless, as if this was the only way for her to feel better. Only by doing so would she be able to act normal in front of the mischievous Dustless. You're interrupting my fun for no reason, and you want me to put up with you? Dustless chuckled and took the initiative to approach Eulephia. Her head had already slid out of her mouth, and was about to pounce on Eulephia. Whoosh! Seeing the unfavorable situation, Eulephia dodged to the side and dodged Dustless's attack like a gust of wind. Oh, your reaction is pretty fast. I didn't expect a little girl like you to have some skills. Dustless teased, his eyes full of mockery. Eulephia frowned and instinctively sensed that something was wrong. She sensed the hidden meaning in Dustless's words and instinctively took a step back. Who would have thought that she would fall into Dustless's arms? Eulephia was stunned, her beautiful eyes overflowing with color. Dustless was right in front of her a second ago, and the next second, he appeared behind her without any warning. What did you do? Bastard, let go of me and stop your hand right now. Eulephia's face turned red with anger. She began to struggle with all her might, her demonic energy going berserk as she tried to force Dustless back. How long has it been? Dustless sneaked into her body and began to touch her without restraint. Don't move around. Don't forget where you are right now. Understand your position. Dustless frowned slightly when he saw Eulephia tumbling around like a loach. His words contained a hint of warning. You ruined my plans, so you have to compensate me for my loss. Dustless said rudely and unreasonably. He was not the kind of person who would abide by the rules. Eulephia was shaken and blushed. She naturally understood what Dustless meant. He was planning to force himself on her. Stop. I have something important to tell you. Since the hard way did not work, Eulephia decided to use a soft approach. It's about you and Riaz. About me and Lias? Just as Eulephia expected, Dustless's restless hands immediately stopped moving when Riaz was mentioned. He frowned and asked, What's the matter between me and Riaz? No, it doesn't matter. Even if that damned fiancé of hers really comes, I will take Riaz back. After saying that, Wu Chen's small hands began to move again. After a short while, Eulephia began to pant. Ugh, Eulephia was very depressed. Her heart was bleeding. She had met Dustless twice in total, and it was definitely the worst thing that happened to her. Even so, Eulephia did not hate Dustless. This was a world where strength was everything. The stronger one was, the more fearless they could be. Moreover, the education of strength was deeply ingrained in Eulephia. She was upset, but she could not resist because she did not have the ability. Going against the flow would only lead to more violent revenge. Don't worry. What if that fiancé is you? Eulephia raised her voice. That one sentence froze Dustless on the spot, and the hands in her arms retracted as if they had been electrocuted. You're not lying to me, are you? Dustless's face was full of doubt. He did not know whether to laugh or cry as he thought to himself. Damn it, why do I always cheat on people? Last time it was Sazak's, and this time it's that roasted chicken from the Phoenix family. Lie. I wouldn't dare. Hearing this, Eulephia revealed a bitter smile. Although she had only met Dustless twice, she knew that this guy hated liars. In fact, it was not just Dustless. Every powerful person hated being lied to. That would be best. Dustless nodded in satisfaction. While he was still doubtful, he thought about it and understood. After all, his strength was there for all to see. It was normal for Rias's parents and brother to think highly of him. Comparing Dustless and Hyoto Issei, it was easy to imagine who was stronger. But Dustless stared at Gulifia with glowing eyes like a starving wolf. Gulifia immediately backed away. Just as she was about to activate her mana to escape, Dustless came before her and easily suppressed her. Now that you mention it, you're even more guilty, Gulifia. Don't you think you should apologize with your body for interrupting me and my fiancé? With that, chakra waves erupted from Dustless's palm, shattering Gulifia's clothes and exposing her perfect body to Dustless. Gulifia felt as if she had fallen into an ice cavern. She did not even need to think to know what was going to happen next. She would be devoured by Dustless's domineering lover. It's your fortune to be with me. Some people want to be with me, but I'll kick them away. Dustless smiled as he gently rubbed Gulifia's body to feel her tender skin. Absolutely not. I already have a child. Gulifia argued, hoping that Dustless would break the news. But when she saw Dustless's dazed eyes, her body went limp as if she had been electrocuted and fell into Dustless's arms. Chapter 1267. Gulifia shrunk her neck with a fearful expression. She felt fear towards Dustless from the depths of her soul. This guy was fearless. Not to mention the fact that she was the Devil King's wife. Even if she was the Devil King herself, she still wouldn't be able to stop Dustless' progress. They were on completely different levels. Ding! Not long after, a moving moan came out of Gulifia's mouth, causing people to be lost in wild and fanciful thoughts. And they couldn't help but be led astray. Wu Chen's hands gently teased here and there. Every time he moved a bit, Gulifia's panting would become even more intense. Let me go, Gulifia said anxiously. She realized that she was about to be melted by Dustless. Instead of pushing Dustless, her fists actually slowed down when they landed on his body. It was more like she was begging him. Seeing this, Dustless didn't stand on ceremony and directly told Gulifia that he hadn't eaten for so long that he had long been suffocated. Creak. A few minutes later, there was the sound of violent shaking from upstairs. Of course, there was also Gulifia's shy moans. Even if she used all her strength, she couldn't resist Dustless's violent domination. It was completely useless. Moreover, Dustless was like a beast on fire. The more she resisted, the more pain she felt. Every cell in her body hurt, and her bones felt like they were about to fall apart. This night was destined to be a sleepless one. Dustless forced Gulifia to change all kinds of positions, tormenting her. The next morning, the sun shone brightly. Dustless followed Junai to school listlessly. The bright sunlight made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Dustless looked extremely dispirited. His back was hunched, and there were clear dark circles under his eyes. He was even yawning. What did you do last night? Junai looked at the exhausted Dustless with a strange expression. She only heard from Rias that she was kicked out when she was about to break through the final barrier with Dustless. She didn't know what happened after that. What did I do? Of course, it's for the benefit of the entire human race. Wu Chen stretched lazily and said with a hidden meaning. Dustless was immensely proud of himself. Last night, he and Gulifia had been making babies all night. His waist was about to break. Gulifia couldn't bear it anymore and was directly knocked out by Dustless. Be careful. Gulifia, what she is has nothing to do with me. Glancing at Junai indifferently, Wu Chen's expression remained the same. No matter what her background was, Wu Chen wouldn't care. As long as she dared to come knocking on his door, he would just trample on her. What's more, a girl delivered herself to his doorstep. What's the difference between Wu Chen and a salted fish if Wu Chen still endured it? Ouch! A cry of pain attracted Dustless and Junai's attention. They both looked over at the same time. Aisha. You know her? Junai looked at Dustless in surprise, her brows knitted together. She stared at the blonde girl for a moment and said in surprise, The blonde girl from the church you mentioned, is she? Indeed, she is Aisha. By the way, what about the matter I talked to the minister about last time? I hope she can become the minister's dependent. She's quite capable. Dustless ignored the latter's objection and pulled Junai's hand over shamelessly. Something's not right. She looks a bit messy. Is she being chased? Dustless's gaze turned cold. Looking at Aisha's blood-red clothes, a hint of anger flashed in his eyes. Wu Chun and Isha had only met once. They weren't familiar with each other, nor did they fall in love at first sight. The girl had a weak appearance, isolated from the rest of the world. When facing her, Wu Chun was more lustful and protective. Your name is Donathik, right? A faint and clear cry descended from the sky, devoid of any emotion. It was a very ordinary sentence, but when it fell into Donaxi's ears, it was like thunder piercing through his ears. His mind felt like it was about to explode, and the world before his eyes turned blurry as overlapping images began to appear. Was it an illusion? Donathik, who came back to his senses, was shocked. In that instant, he felt like he was the prey of a god, and he would be reduced to ashes with just a thought. Clang. Due to his excessive nervousness, Donathik didn't even hold the light spear in his hand tightly. In a daze, his hand loosened and it fell to the ground. It must be an illusion. There isn't such a scary guy in the world. Even if there is, he wouldn't target me for no reason. Damn it, Rina, Amanoshima seems to be having such nightmares recently. Could it be that she infected me? His gaze valiantly swept across Dustless. Noticing that there wasn't the slightest fluctuation of magic on him, Donathik said arrogantly, "Where did this kid come from? If you don't want to die, get lost." Dustless looked at Donathik, amused and annoyed at the same time. He dug his ear and said, "What did you say? Can you repeat it? I'm deaf and didn't hear it." You. Donathik's face turned red. He was merciful enough to say so much to a human, but the other party didn't even understand what he meant. Didn't that mean that his words had been blown away by the wind, and didn't even reach Dustless's ears? If that's the case, then you can die. Donathik was so angry that he laughed. He picked up the light spear that had fallen to the ground, and threw it out with all his might. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. A white-silver light pierced toward Dustless, and it looked like it was going to tear him apart. The attack was also very vicious, aiming at Dustless's head. It looked like it was going to tear him apart. However, the latter didn't move. Chapter 1268. If I'm killed by something like you, the people I've killed in the past, I'm afraid they'll jump out of hell and strangle me to death. Dustless smiled faintly and raised his right arm lazily. Golden light gathered at the tip of his index finger. After pausing for a few seconds, he unleashed it with all his might. Laser shot. A straight beam of light pierced through the sky, leaving behind a faint afterimage. Looking at it, the incoming spear of light was instantly reduced to a cloud of dust. Boom boom boom. The moment the two collided, everything turned into nothingness. What a strange move, but it's still a problem for you to defeat me. Tanaxi took out his spear of light, again after recovering from his shock. His confident look made it seem as though his spear of light would never run out. Forget it, I'll let you off the hook for now. This little girl is more important. Donathik turned the spear around and two black wings appeared on his back as he charged forward. Idiot! Dustless's eyes grew colder and colder, with a chilling murderous aura. He raised his head and saw that Aisha was drenched in blood and her face was incomparably pale. Donathik, who was wearing a black coat, chased closely behind her. There was an evil smile on his face, full of mockery. You're courting death. Seeing this, Dustless's body exploded with a brilliant light and turned into a golden beam of light that shot forward. What a flash! The flash exploded with an unprecedented golden luster. Junai instinctively closed her eyes. That gorgeous luster seemed as though she would be blinded if she looked at it any longer. Not only that, it was also very sacred. Junai couldn't help but feel a sense of respect. When she realized what had happened, even Junai herself was at a loss. Why would she feel respect for a mortal? This became an unsolved mystery. You still want to run? If I can't even take care of a worm like you, how am I going to survive in the future? Donax laughed maniacally as the two black wings on his waist flapped, stirring up a violent gust of wind. He leaped into the air, and his speed was dozens of times faster than before. In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Isha, who had turned pale with fright. "What are you waiting for?" Boom boom boom. Before he could finish his sentence, a beam of light shot down from the clear sky and mercilessly covered Donathic's body. "Ah!" A painful scream immediately came out of his mouth. His 2 wings were scorched in the air and slowly evaporated. Not only that, but the other parts of his body were also burned at a speed visible to the naked eye. And the smell of rotting flesh filled the air. "Are you all right, Aisha?" Beside Isha, light floated and condensed into the elegant face of a black-haired youth. "It's you, Dustless?" Isha cried tears of joy. She was so excited that she hugged Wu Chen tightly. So fragrant. The soft touch made Dustless's face reveal a look of enjoyment. Dustless praised in his heart. Then, he frowned and suddenly realized that Isha's body was wet and had turned blood red. It turned out that she had been drenched in blood, and there were wounds all over her body. They did it. Dustless glanced at Donaxi, who was rolling on the ground and screaming miserably. He said, "Don't worry, you're safe now." "It's nothing. It's just a small injury." Isha revealed a cheerful smile, indicating that she was fine. However, her face was pale from the pain. "You are really kind, Aisha." Dustless sighed inwardly at her ignorance and didn't say anything. Perhaps this was her cute side. At the same time, the shining lightspeed kick on Dustless's feet quickly extinguished. His eyes locked onto Donaxi as he spoke coldly. "I wanted to finish you in one move, but it looks like I'm letting you off too easily. Aisha and I are friends. The pain she suffered will be returned 100-fold by you. So it's better for you to be slowly burned to death." When Dustless finished speaking, Donaxi let out an even more miserable scream. It could be heard clearly from hundreds of meters away. "This fellow looks harmless on the surface, but he's actually very vicious. No. Or rather, he values his friends very much. Those who take revenge on his classmates will suffer retaliation 10-fold or 100-fold. Looking at Donaxi's melted pineapple-like skin that fell to the ground like water, even Junai, who was a sadist, had a slight change in expression. She had a clearer understanding of Dustless. A dragon has a reverse scale. Those who touch it will definitely die. This sentence was the most suitable to describe him. It was boring. Even if he made a joke that went too far, he could laugh it off. However, when he angered Dustless, just like Donaxi, he would suffer a fate worse than death. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm actually a very gentle man." The teasing tone rang in Junai's ears and pulled her back from her daze. When she looked up, she coincidentally met Dustless's eyes. She carefully examined this cheeky face and for some reason, she felt that it was extremely unfamiliar. No one could tell what he was scheming in his heart. "Speaking of which, have you already escaped from Amano?" "Really?" Dustless, who realized his name, quickly changed it. At the same time, he looked at Junai and said, "Rias has been lacking a monk recently. I think Isha is very suitable." Junai looked at the nervous Isha with hesitation. Thinking of the ability that Wu Chen had introduced before, he nodded his head and confessed. "She has already parted ways with the fallen angel. If that's the case, Rias won't reject her anymore, right? I'll definitely work hard." Isha was excited when she heard that. Her pretty face blushed and looked very cute. After she left the professor's dark side, the first person she thought of was Dustless, who was her friend. Chapter 1269. Isha clenched her fists so tightly that they turned cold. She grabbed Dustless's big hand with both hands and held it tightly as if she was afraid that he would slip away. "You're quite popular." Junai's eyes narrowed into crescents. He looked very cunning, and it seemed like he was up to no good. "By the way, Miss Isha, I forgot to tell you that Dustless may look young, but he's already married." Afraid that Dustless and Isha would not fight, Junai tried to sow discord. "I just heard from Gulifia that Dustless has become the department head's fiancé. She even said that they might get married soon." "Married? Are you kidding me? How come I don't know about this?" Dustless asked with a frown. He was sure that Junai was doing this on purpose. That evil look in his eyes said it all. "Really?" Isha's tone changed when she heard that. There was a hint of resentment, and even a little sobbing. Crying just like that? Is this girl made of water? She can get water out just by squeezing a little? Dustless was speechless. He did not expect this girl to cry so easily. She was a little naive. Just you wait. He glared at Junai. He would not let this go so easily. He would deal with Junai in the future. To be honest, I do have an engagement with Riaz. Dustless chose to be honest. Maybe if it was someone else, he could go against his conscience and fool them, but Isha was an exception. Dustless was her only friend. If he lied to her over such a small matter, he would be worse than an animal. I knew it. Isha's face was as white as a sheet. She looked weak as if her soul had been sucked out. Her body swayed from side to side. Don't worry, demons can marry more wives. Dustless's eyes lit up. He casually came up with a lame excuse that even he found hard to pronounce. I can do that. Demons can marry more wives. Junai and Dustless stood on the same side and comforted Isha. Perhaps they knew that it would not be good to continue this argument. Yet, demons are so nice. Isha's gem-like eyes shone brightly. Her eyes turned into crescent moons as she smiled. Well, I'm still the most handsome one. Dustless was secretly pleased. Isha had abandoned her master, and chose to jump into Dustless's trap. Clearly his charisma was at work. Someone's there? Wu Chen's face suddenly became serious. He turned his head and looked at the green forest behind him. He vaguely saw a pair of crystal eyes. It's her? She's still not giving up. Seemingly aware of Dustless's detection, the pupil hidden in the dense forest hurriedly retracted. In an instant, it hid and disguised itself. She didn't know that Dustless would only humiliate her with her laughable concealment technique. Junai, I still have some private matters to settle. You take Isha back to school first. I'll leave the matter of her family and her enrollment to you. Dustless's eyes turned cold as he glanced at the forest. Leave it to me. Junai had his signature friendly smile on his face. It was as if he had met his sister. He chatted with Isha and wanted her to integrate into this new group as soon as possible. In the dark forest, there were few people. Occasionally, there would be a few dark shadows flitting across the sky. The startled cawing of the crows combined with the deathly stillness of the environment was simply a natural cemetery. Only Superman could maintain his composure in this place. Your low-level concealment technique. Forget it. You're not even concealing your own presence. It's just a simple concealment technique. In the forest, he recalled the young man's disdainful taunts. The disdain in his words was not concealed at all. About 4 to 5 meters in front of Dustless, there was a girl with beautiful black hair, a hot body, and a pair of black wings. She was like a beautiful scenery that attracted Dustless's attention. You're quite pretty, but your heart has been dyed black. Amanoshima. Oh no, I should call you by another name, Ms. Rina Ray. Dustless smiled gently. He gave off a warm and gentle feeling. You know my name. Amanoshima's heart sank when she heard what he said. She had a deeper understanding of Dustless's mysteriousness. Give that little brat to me. I can give you everything you want. Amanoshima said in a carefree tone with a sense of going all out. She also understood that one could not get the wolf without sacrificing the child. Finally she added, of course including myself. If you want, I can still give myself to you. You can do whatever you want. You can play with me however you want. Amanoshima's face revealed a bashful expression. Even she felt embarrassed saying those words. Only an idiot would fall for it. Dustless did not think much of it. Amanoshima was just an empty promise. Of course, she could make any promise she wanted. She could even make it more unreliable. He was afraid that after he gave Isha to her, she would run away. I can give Isha to you, but I have a condition. You must let me decrypt your body first. This is the pre-sale experience. Otherwise I can't do it. Even if you kill me, I can't do it. Dustless laughed. Amanoshima was despicable? He could be more despicable than Amanoshima. Chapter 1270. Hearing Dustless's words, Amanoshima's small face instantly froze. Her mouth twitched. Just when she was about to open her mouth to deny Amanoshima, she realized that most of her brain cells had died. She couldn't find a reason to refute Dustless's point of view. At that moment, she could only stand on the spot with nothing to do. What if you regret it? Thinking of the importance of the Aisha divine equipment, Saint's smile, Amano-shima finally chose to compromise after a slight struggle in her heart. When facing Dustless, she didn't have any advantage at all. There were a few times when she lost her dignity and became a laughingstock. As for using force, Amano-shima didn't even think about it and directly ignored it. When Amano-shima saw the shocking scene of Donathik being crushed just now, she was shocked in her heart. Raising his head to look at Dustless's face, Amano-shima recalled the battle just now. Dustless was like a cat playing with a mouse, wantonly controlling the battle situation. That was not a battle at all. It could be more accurately described as a big fish eating a small fish. Me regret it? This will depend on your performance. If you are willing to let me play comfortably, I will naturally fulfill your wish. If you don't reach the standard, I will definitely regret it. Of course, the final choice is still yours. It's up to you to agree or not. I won't force you. Dustless had a magnanimous expression on his face that said, "You should thank me." Swallowing her saliva, Amano-shima was secretly furious. Dustless's words were beautiful, but in reality, Amano-shima didn't have the right to choose. No matter what choice she made, there was only one path in front of Amano-shima. If she wanted to get the saint's smile, she could only agree to Dustless. I didn't force you. Since you have made your choice, then let's go. Dustless took a few steps forward and held Amano-shima's small hand affectionately. He winked at her and his handsome face had an ambiguous smile. Amano-shima's mind was shaken. She struggled slightly, but her negligible strength couldn't affect Dustless at all. In the end, he closed his eyes and silently accepted his fate. He could only follow Dustless's footsteps and leave. Inside the brightly lit room, it was very luxurious and spacious. Dustless leaned lazily against the side of the large square pool to rest. The exquisite marble was exceptionally smooth and comfortable, and he didn't want to get down when he laid down. Dustless was naked, without the slightest covering on his body. There was also a woman beside her who was doing the same thing. She was completely naked, and she was doing her best to massage Dustless's back and legs. Her technique was very precise. She didn't use too much force on the places that needed to be used too much force, and she used too much force on the places that needed to be used. The young girl served Wu Chen with all her might. Her black hair was like a waterfall that reached her waist. There were sweat stains on both sides of her temples. She looked exhausted. Looking closely, the girl who was painstakingly massaging Dustless's legs was Amano-shima. I was right about you. This technique, TSK, you can stay by my side and serve me in peace. Dustless closed his eyes and enjoyed the massage comfortably. It was as if he was floating in the sky, and his body was exceptionally light. Amano-shima's wonderful massage technique made Dustless secretly exclaim at how powerful she was. During this period of time, he went through Amano-shima's memories. 4 low-level fallen angels like her, they usually monitored others and seduced others. Dustless was her first customer, which also meant that Dustless was her first target. Her technique was indeed very wonderful. It's good that you like it. Amano-shima showed a forced smile on her face as she replied with a fake smile. No, I don't like it. Suddenly opening his bright eyes, Dustless said with dissatisfaction. Your smile is uglier than your crying face. How can I be happy? Looks like you can't do it. So, I'm sorry, I can't give Aisha's divine weapon Saint's smile to you. Hearing that, Amano-shima's head was about to explode. On her forehead that was as smooth as jade, a few scary green veins appeared. Are you trying to trick me? Are you planning to eat everything and not admit it? Amano-shima asked furiously. She thought that she had served Dustless wholeheartedly, but this fella directly sent Amano-shima to hell with just a sentence of, I don't like it. How could she continue to swallow this insult? This was too infuriating. Amano-shima saw the satisfied expression of No-che clearly just now. Now he actually said something like, I don't like it. He was obviously trying to bully her shamelessly. Ouch! At this moment, Dustless showed a happy expression. His old face also cooperated and turned pale. Your rash action just now scared me. Now the blood in my body is flowing 10 times faster, and so is my heart. Hurry up and decompress me." Dustless pretended to be in pain as he said. However, his sparkling eyes were blinking. It was obvious that Dustless did it on purpose. "You." Hearing that, a hint of anger flashed across Amano-shima's pretty face. Her delicate little hand clenched into a fist under the control of the flame. Using all of her strength, she smashed it towards Dustless. Boom. Seeing this, Dustless smiled disdainfully, raised his fist lazily, and simply caught the wind of Amano-shima's fist. It was soft in his hand, and it felt good to the touch. Originally, Dustless planned to tease Amano-shima. He had used Rinnegan to read Amano-shima's memory. Her life was also extremely miserable. She was just trained as a tool. Now, after Amano-shima made such a scene, it immediately aroused the ambition in Dustless's heart. Amano-shima felt the abnormality of Dustless, and the strength of Dustless's hand increased. She was so scared that she panicked. She used all of her strength to break free from Dustless's restraint. However, the effect was minimal. Resistance didn't win her sympathy. Instead, it led to more cruel treatment. Chapter 1271. Amano-shima was furious, but when she knew that she was setting herself on fire, she quickly stopped. "You got on my boat? You still want to run away? Do you think that's possible?" Dustless hugged Amano-shima, who refused to obey him, and teased her. "The more you struggle, the more interesting I find it. To be honest, compared to those who don't move and are like walking corpses, I prefer young girls like you." You. That sentence sent Amano-shima straight to hell. Amano-shima stuttered for a long time and couldn't say anything. Her face turned green and white. She was so shocked by Dustless that she couldn't say anything. "If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. If that's the case, I'm going to start, Shima." With a sly smile, Dustless didn't give Amano-shima a chance to refute. He immediately opened his mouth and captured Amano-shima's charming lips. Soon, Amano-shima felt a huge pain. Her whole body felt like it was being torn apart. She couldn't help but tear up. In the Supernatural Research Department in Kimo Academy. "Welcome to my family. My name is Riaz." Due to her height, Riaz looked down at the blonde girl who was close to her. After secretly sizing her up, Riaz showed a satisfied and gentle smile. She also extended her arm elegantly and politely. "My name is Aisha. Please take care of me in the future." The girl also extended her arm politely. The two of them shook hands and smiled at each other. It wasn't hard to see that they had a good relationship. Speaking of which, where is Dustless? The natural kitten asked. "That guy is so busy. I rarely see him." "Busy." Hearing that, Junai couldn't help but show a bitter smile. Dustless was indeed busy. There was nothing he could do about it. He had so many friends with benefits. "Don't worry about him. Let's." Before Junai could finish his sentence, a bright light lit up in the dark room. A special magic circle appeared on the ground. Flames flew out from it and floated in the room like a bird. "Looks like trouble is here. Damn it. I just settled one problem, and another bigger one appeared." Riaz complained with a headache. When she saw the flames, she already knew who was here. "Is this how you greet people? Were the members of the Phoenix family so ill-mannered? Not only did you come uninvited, you even set off fireworks in someone else's house. Are you all immature brats?" Riaz's tone was also full of unfriendliness. She was openly mocking him. La 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 la. "Riaz, I haven't seen you for a while. How did you become so good at talking? It seems that after abandoning my brother and getting a new fiancé, your temper has become a lot worse." The melodious voice of a young girl came out of the magic array, and a graceful figure appeared in the flames. The girl had fair skin and beautiful features. Her voice was clear and melodious, like an oriole flying out of the valley. She was wearing a pink princess dress, revealing half of her breasts. She had an elegant and noble temperament. Her entrance brought the scene to another climax. La Belle Phoenix's appearance attracted everyone's attention. With a light tap of her foot, she rose into the air and flew out of the magic array like a flower. Her vigorous figure was graceful. and combined with her devastatingly beautiful appearance, it made people feel ashamed of their inferiority. However, Riaz was not interested in her beauty. She knew that this girl was here to cause trouble. "Riaz, you've dumped my brother. You've got guts," La Belle Phoenix said unhappily. She looked very angry, and her wrinkled little face was filled with anger. However, she did not lose her cute and charming appearance. No matter what expression this young girl made, it was impeccable, and people could not help but indulge in it. "Stop trying to intimidate others. So what if I've dumped your brother?" Riaz smiled disdainfully. In terms of family power, the Phoenix family could not be compared to the Gimli family. Therefore, she could only ignore La Belle's threat and could not do anything about it. Humph. Hearing this, La Belle was also discouraged and snorted. "But you've dumped my brother and humiliated the Phoenix family. Perhaps you should at least give us an explanation. This is not too much. Also, please call your fiancé out for me to take a look." To be able to snatch the daughter-in-law of the Phoenix family, he must have a great background. La Belle Phoenix's eyes narrowed slightly, filled with anticipation and curiosity. Tisk! Seeing this, Riaz curled her lips in disdain. She instantly understood La Belle Phoenix's intention and exposed her. She said with disdain, "Instead of saying that you're here to cause trouble, why don't you say that you're here to see who that guy is?" The fellow that Riaz spoke of was naturally dustless without a doubt. Seeing that her intention was exposed, La Belle Phoenix did not feel awkward at all. Instead, she laughed generously. "Of course I'm curious about someone who can snatch the daughter-in-law of the Phoenix family. I'm afraid it's not just me. Everyone who knows about this must be curious. After all, your identity is there. You're the Demon King's sister, the future successor of the Gimli family." Humph. Seeing this, Riaz only snorted and crossed her arms. In reality, she was also shocked. Dustless had no background, no external help, and was fighting alone. Logically speaking, the chances of him being her husband were zero. However, such an inconceivable thing had happened. What made Riaz even more speechless was Gulifia's anxious look at the same time. She was afraid that she was not good enough for Dustless. This was simply preposterous. Chapter 1272. She was the sister of the Demon King, the future heir of the House of Gimli, yet she was looked down upon by a nobody. Just the thought of it made Riaz feel insulted. She felt that everything was unreal. He doesn't seem to be here. Ripples appeared in her eyes as La Belle Phoenix looked around. She realized that she could somewhat recognize everyone present. Other than Aisha, who had just joined the group, the others were all Riaz's family members. La Belle had some impression of them. Where did that guy go? Looking at Riaz suspiciously, La Belle smiled slyly. "Are you saying that guy's looks are a disgrace, and he's the type that would die in the light?" "That's not it. Dustless is very handsome, and very mature." Junai stood out and interrupted. Recalling Dustless's unique aura, he could not help but praise him. He then added, "I have to say Dustless is very charming. He has refreshed my understanding of handsome guys. He's perfect in every aspect." Hey, are you exaggerating? La Belle glanced at Junai and grumbled unhappily. "Is he even human? He's probably a virtual character that you've imagined in your dreams." La Belle's tone carried a hint of undisguised mockery. I say." At that moment, an extremely discordant voice sounded. It was filled with surprise. "Don't tell me that the handsome god you're all talking about is me." Dustless's appearance stunned everyone. The others were still fine, but La Belle, who saw Dustless for the first time, was instantly mesmerized by Dustless's eyes. Just as Junai said, Dustless looked very young, and his appearance was that of a 17 or 18 years old. However, the unique aura of an old man on him was captivating, as if he had lived for hundreds of years. His sparkling eyes were filled with serenity and wisdom, giving people the feeling of being very stable. La Belle's voice faltered. She looked at Dustless, not knowing what to do for a moment. Ahem. Riaz, no matter what, I'm still a guest. Don't you think you should introduce yourself? You're the heir of the House of Gimli. Don't bring shame to your family." La Belle aimed her cannon at Riaz and began to bombard her. "You're right." Hearing that, Riaz nodded and walked gracefully in front of Dustless. She gently took Dustless's arm and held it tightly, purposely raising her voice. His name is Dustless. He's my deskmate and also my fiancé. Especially when the word fiancé was mentioned, Riaz almost fell into Dustless's arms. Damn it, for no reason at all. I was dragged into this jealous war by the two of them. The noble circle is really messy, Dustless said emotionally as he gently pushed Riaz away. Even though she was as beautiful as a painting, he did not have the time to enjoy it. He had just climbed out of Amonoshima's body, and he was extremely tired. It was as if his body was drained and he did not have any energy left. You. LaBelle's little face darkened as she looked at Riaz, who was showing off their affection. She was furious and walked up to Dustless with dissatisfaction. She pointed at her with her hands on her hips and said, "What's so special about you? I can't see how you're like my brother." Your brother? Hearing that, Dustless was stunned and said subconsciously, "You're talking about that turkey?" Dustless's words caused a commotion. Everyone smiled. Riser Phoenix, with his high school hairstyle and expression, as well as his arrogant personality, he is indeed like a proud rooster. You bastard. LaBelle Phoenix was so angry that her face turned red. She glared at Dustless and roared, "Take back what you said just now and apologize to me. Or else, I will never, never forgive you." Remembering Dustless's current status, LaBelle was very cautious. Killing the son-in-law of the Gimli family was not a small crime. Apologize. Hearing that, Dustless couldn't help but laugh. When it came to controversial issues like right and wrong, he had always been the victor. No matter what, it was always others who apologized to him. "Sorry, I'm a stubborn person. I don't like to apologize. You don't like me calling him a buddy, right? I'm going to say it now. Turkey, 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 turkey." The whole room was filled with the words turkey, full of provocation. LaBelle's little face darkened, and the smell of gunpowder was thick. "You're playing with fire." LaBelle Phoenix emitted large amounts of flames, and the room instantly became hot and dry. Above her head, flames danced, filled with a destructive aura. "You can fight with me, but I'm afraid the price is not something you can afford. If you lose, you might lose everything. It's like this when you fight with me. There must be a wager." Afraid that LaBelle wouldn't agree, Dustless threw out an olive branch to tempt her. "If you win, you can do whatever you want to me. Kill me or torture me without complaint. Are you sure you won't regret it?" A strange look flashed across LaBelle's eyes. She was obviously greedy. If she could win Riaz's fiancé, she would definitely be able to humiliate her in the future. "But what do I have to pay if I lose?" No matter what, she was still the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family. She didn't panic because of this easy-to-eat pie. Instead, she was still a little cautious. "I'm not asking for much." Dustless moved his exhausted body and said, "I'm not asking for much either. My back has been hurting lately, and I just need a servant to massage my legs." Chapter 1273. Hearing that, everyone looked at Dustless blankly. The seriousness on his face made it clear that he was not joking. "You want me to be your servant? You sure have guts. I'm afraid I'll scare you to death if I tell you this. I'm the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family. You want me to be your servant? Unless you're a god." The young girl sneered angrily, and on the other hand, she tried her best to ridicule Wu Chun for overestimating himself. What a coincidence. "According to what you're saying, you're more suited to be my servant, Miss Libel. Or are you afraid to take the bet? You don't have the confidence to win against me. Looks like your Phoenix family is just SOSO. You're just a small family that talks big." Dustless attacked mercilessly, purposely fanning the flames of Libel's anger. Someone as arrogant as her would definitely view her family's glory as her life. "What did you say?" As expected, Libel was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She almost jumped up and bared her fangs at Dustless. "Since you want to play so much, I'll play with you this once." "Ugh, you want to be someone else's servant instead of being a young mistress." Junai closed her eyes in despair. She knew that another beautiful young lady was about to fall, but she couldn't be bothered to stop her. After all, LaBelle was the one asking for it. At the same time, she didn't like this overbearing young lady asking for it. Everyone shook their heads hopelessly. They were bored by Libel's joke. This girl was just playing with fire and digging her own grave. I also hope that Miss Libel can win. A strange sound came from Dustless's throat. After looking at Libel for a few seconds, he smiled like a spring breeze. This girl is probably here for Riaz. If she can get me, she'll be able to annoy Riaz in the future. These young girls sure have nothing better to do. Dustless could not help but sigh in his heart. With his ability to observe people, he understood Libel's intentions almost instantly. However, Dustless would not reject someone who came to him voluntarily. What does Mademoiselle Libel intend to compete in? Sitting on the sofa, Dustless leisurely crossed his legs. Beside him, Riaz was silent, as if everything had nothing to do with her. Dustless was annoyed. You're fine after using me? You should at least show some appreciation. Dustless got close to Riaz and ambushed her while she was taking a nap. Who is it? Realizing that she was being hugged, Riaz opened her eyes and shot out a chilling glare. Bastard! My goddess! Seeing this scene, Issei Kudo, who had no sense of existence, exploded with anger like never before. Looking at Dustless and Riaz hugging each other, he did not feel good. No one would feel good when their goddess was in someone else's arms, especially Dustless, who was Riaz's fiancé. He was the one who tortured Brother Chung, who was single. You! Riaz glared at him. She did not expect Dustless to be so bold. Tisk tsk. You only know how to kick me away after using me? There's no such thing in this world. Riaz, I'm your fiancé. Wu Chen smiled maliciously. His misty eyes silently indicated that if it weren't for the fact that there were too many people around, he would definitely have done Riaz on the spot and devoured her bones. You two. That's enough. Don't ignore me. Libel roared with a red face. There was a need to pick a time and place to show affection. As the young mistress of the Phoenix family, Libel could not take it that he ignored her. At the very least, she should feel how he felt. Let's have a match. If you can beat me, I'll be your servant from now on. Libel put her hands on her hips. Her domineering look made her look like a woman. No problem. Dustless nodded lightly and let go of Riaz, whose face was red. Let's end this quickly. I've been working for a long time. With that, Dustless's eyelids twitched. He wanted to sleep. I won't let you off for looking down on others. Libel gritted her teeth in anger. She looked like she was about to explode. How did Dustless look like he was having a match? That sloppy look was obviously perfunctory. It was as if his opponent was a newbie who had just joined. It was a silent humiliation. Dustless was unmoved. He left with Libel and headed to the sparsely populated field. After a few minutes of walking, the few of them arrived at an open field. You win if you can make me step back. Libel said proudly. Hearing that, Dustless smiled and retorted. You win if you can touch my body. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Libel's eyes shot out a cold light. Large amounts of flames erupted from her body and attacked Dustless like raindrops. How boring. Seeing that, Dustless put his hands in his pockets. After a sigh, he raised his right leg lazily. Light flickered. The oppressive golden light was extremely dazzling. Everyone closed their eyes, not daring to look at that sharp light. Lightspeed kick. A straight beam of cold light shot out and disappeared in the blink of an eye like a shooting star. Boom boom boom. Violent explosions erupted. The flames that Libel used were like drizzle. The aftershock of the lightspeed kick's explosion vaporized them. Not only that, the field that Dustless and Libel used for their match was also pierced through. You bastard! Riaz was furious. Not only Libel, even she was caught off guard and ate a mouthful of dirt. She glared at Dustless fiercely. Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. It's really hard to control one's strength. I've already suppressed the power of the lightspeed kick to the limit. Who knew that it would cause this kind of trouble? Dustless had an innocent look on his face, as if he had been wronged. Chapter 1274. Hearing Dustless's honest ridicule, everyone was petrified. They all looked down at the charred ground as if their souls had been sucked out. That charred pit was like looking at the sun up close. Their glasses were stinging. "Oh, Miss Labelle, you've already lost. Now please perform the jump and come over here to massage my waist and legs. Really, these few days have been very tiring." Dustless sighed with emotion as he continued to order libel. He gave off the feeling of a petty person intoxicated by success. You're dreaming. I haven't lost yet." Labelle gritted her teeth and stood up. She had originally planned to admit defeat, but Dustless's smiling face deeply provoked her. Especially when he mentioned massage my waist and legs, Labelle stood up as if she had been electrocuted. She could not accept such a cruel reality. Absolutely not. Becoming Dustless's slave meant that she had to agree to all sorts of things. How could she, as the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family, put her face? She could not compromise. "You still intend to resist?" Seeing the madness in Labelle's eyes, Dustless could not help but shake his head. It was not that he looked down on Labelle, but the gap between them was just too big. No matter how hard the little chick worked, no matter how diligently she studied, she could not compare to an eagle soaring in the sky. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew. Labelle suddenly felt chilly. "You bastard, you're doing this on purpose." Labelle was stunned. She subconsciously looked at her body and realized that her white wrists were already exposed to the air. "This is just a warning. If you continue to fight with me, perhaps all your clothes will be burned off." Dustless chuckled. His words contained an undisguised threat. "Humph, I won't give up even then." Labelle was still stubbornly unwilling to give up. The magic power that had been stagnant in her body once again increased tremendously. It erupted ferociously without end. The flames on her body also became more and more enchanting. "Looks like it's not bad." Dustless rubbed his chin with interest. A golden light suddenly appeared on his fingertips. He glanced at Labelle, and then shot out with all his might. Lasers. The unstoppable beam of light shot out and penetrated Labelle's body without any resistance. "Humph, this kind of attack is useless. I was just careless and got hit by you." A thumb-sized crack appeared where Labelle's wound had been, thanks to Dustless's attack. However, Labelle was not affected at all. Her wounds began to heal slowly in the next second. The Phoenix family has the body of the immortal bird. At the same time, they also have their special characteristics, immortality. No matter what kind of attack they receive, they will regenerate immediately. Their blood can make them immortal, and their tears can heal all injuries. Riaz stood up and explained, her tone carrying a hint of admiration. "It sounds very powerful." Dustless rubbed his chin. Although he said so, his expression was frivolous. It was obvious that he deliberately said it to satisfy the vanity of this girl, who thought highly of herself. "Since you know how strong we are, then surrender quickly." Labelle's tone was incomparably arrogant, revealing a sense of superiority. "You want me to surrender?" Hearing that, Dustless could not help but laugh. His body suddenly erupted with a unique aura. Those who were affected by it all had a drastic change in expression. Boom boom boom. The extremely oppressive aura soared into the sky, unstoppable. Labelle, who was intimidated by the aura, immediately panicked. Her calm eyes changed from the calmness from before to extreme fear. She was shocked to find that there was an extremely domineering aura covering her body. With just a will or a casual sneeze, she would be killed instantly. Unable to take it anymore, Labelle almost fainted from suffocation. Plop. After holding on for a few seconds, Labelle finally collapsed to the ground. Her eyes lost focus, and the gaze she looked at Dustless with was replaced by fear. This guy must be the unknown mysterious demon king who has regained his youth. Suddenly, such a ridiculous thought appeared in Labelle's mind. Although it was a little unrealistic, Labelle was sure that Dustless was the reincarnation of some ancient big shot. Otherwise, how could he be so powerful? Judging from his appearance, he was only a young man of 17 or 18 years old. "Miss Labelle, are you going to carry out the agreement now?" Dustless said lazily and frivolously. He was not afraid of her rejection and said threateningly, "Of course, if you still don't agree to it, I don't care. However, your family might be in for a bad time." Do you have the demeanor of a powerhouse?" Labelle was extremely furious. Her nose was crooked from anger. Dustless was an unparalleled powerhouse. Yet he did not have the slightest bit of demeanor or magnanimity. He actually dared to be angry with a teenage girl. Of course not. Dustless shrugged and replied frankly, I don't care about that kind of thing. In short, I know that I have a little maid called Libel Phoenix in the future. I won't restrict your actions, and you can run away if you want. There's a saying in my hometown. The monk can run away, but the temple can't. If you're not afraid of my revenge on the Phoenix family, you can try to run away. After saying that, Dustless leisurely left. Although Libel's personality was a little arrogant and seemed to be very willful, she could definitely tell the danger of such a thing. If she ran away or rejected Dustless's conditions, the Phoenix family would suffer his revenge. Chapter 1275. Libel Phoenix was trembling with anger. She dared not voice her anger, and could only endure it silently. Phew. This farce ends here. Let's disperse. Riaz waved her hand and spoke with the authority of a superior. Junai, you wouldn't mind having a servant in the house, would you? Dustless walked up to Junai lazily, while holding Libel's little hand. Shouldn't you be thanking me for having a little maid to clean your room in the future? Junai squirmed when she heard this. She glanced at Dustless with a conflicted expression. Then she said to Libel, if you really want to come, you'll have a place to stay. I'll go home and clean up a clean room for you. With that, Junai skipped away happily. Don't think that I'll let you go just because Junai said that, my cute spoils of war. Dustless pinched Libel's smooth cheeks. The latter glanced at him and tried her best to avoid him. If you avoid the responsibility of being a maid, I'll take my revenge on your family. That sentence pulled Libel back. Not only that, she even approached Dustless of her own accord. She put on a smile that was uglier than a bitter one. She was afraid that this great Devil King would come to the underworld and cause trouble for the Phoenix family. An ordinary Devil King would definitely not do that. However, it was a different story if the target was Dustless. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, it was night. Libel followed Dustless home. Junai tidied up Libel's room considerately. The facilities were complete. She did not treat her like a maid, but more like a friend. Creak. The door was pushed open softly. Dustless and Libel stepped in. Dustless looked around. He did not see Junai anywhere. There were only steaming dishes on the table. Perhaps Junai had something to do and had left. Dustless, you, shut up. I told you before that you're not allowed to call me by my name. Call me master, understand? Looks like if I don't punish you accordingly, you'll never be able to change this bad habit of yours. Dustless said unhappily with a straight face, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to punish Libel. Forget it, I won't make things difficult for you. Go and get me a bottle of hot water. Help me wash my feet. You'd better hurry before I change my mind. If I change my mind, I can deny it at any time. Countless veins appeared on Libel's forehead when she heard that. As the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family, it had always been others who did their best to help her wash her feet. When had she ever helped others? Especially the person he hated the most. You don't plan to do it? Looks like you're going to violate the previous agreement again. Alright, I'll go to the underworld to look for. I promise you. Before Dustless could finish his sentence, Libel had no choice but to agree. It's just washing my feet. It's no big deal. Libel comforted herself nervously, feeling lost about the future. She had come here to denounce Riaz with the intention of humiliating her, but in the end, she had somehow angered an unprecedented big shot. She had even sacrificed herself to become his personal maid. She had even threatened to destroy the Phoenix family that she belonged to from time to time. Just thinking about it made Libel furious. The contrast between before and after was just too fast, so fast that she found it hard to accept. She pouted and glanced at Dustless. After calming herself down, Libel calmly went to get the water to wash her feet. It's not bad to be the maid of a powerhouse. It's better than being a sacrifice for a marriage alliance between families in the future. Libel comforted herself with a mesmerizing smile on her face. Not bad, you've changed your mood very quickly. Dustless saw the change in Libel. The smile on her face was like a budding flower, attracting Dustless's attention. She quickly fetched a basin of hot water and looked embarrassedly at Wu Chun, who was sitting with his legs crossed. Finally, she took a deep breath of cold air and stabilized her fluctuating heart. Then she calmly walked over. She reached out her slender fingers, and in that instant, it was as if she had truly become a maid. She calmly took off Dustless's shoes and socks, and agilely pressed his feet into the hot water. What are your thoughts on washing someone's feet for the first time? At least say something. Seeing LaBelle standing there like a corpse without saying anything, Dustless could only take the initiative to say, "It's against the rules if you don't give me a reasonable explanation." LaBelle felt a headache coming on when she heard that. She had thought that she was hard to please, but she suddenly felt that compared to Dustless, she was too kind in the past. "I can't really describe how I feel, but I don't hate it," LaBelle said bluntly as she gently rubbed Dustless's feet with her palms. "You don't hate it? Even if you hate it, you wouldn't dare to say it out loud," Dustless said disdainfully. He then closed his eyes and enjoyed the massage. LaBelle seemed to know everything since birth. She controlled the strength of her slender fingers perfectly, making people unable to stop themselves from being deeply immersed in it. LaBelle clearly had no interest in answering Dustless's question. She focused on washing Dustless's feet with warm water, looking very professional. Seeing that LaBelle was ignoring him, Dustless tactfully shut his mouth. He wasn't so bored that he would stick his hot face to someone's cold butt. Perhaps it was because he was too tired, but Dustless quickly fell asleep under LaBelle's meticulous care. He slept all the way until the next morning. When he woke up, the sun was already high in the sky. Chapter 1276. When he woke up from his dream, he was shocked to find that he was still on the same sofa as yesterday. Hey, are you kidding me? You're my maid. How can you leave your master on the sofa? What if I catch a cold? That's a big problem. Dustless, who was wearing a simple shirt, protested to Libel, who was busying herself. The key is that you don't have a cold or a fever. Libel had a pitiful look on her face as she ignored Dustless's protest and continued to prepare breakfast. TSK, this outfit is not bad. You didn't buy it on purpose to rope me in, did you? Dustless looked at Libel's new pajamas with a satisfied look on his face. Don't overthink it, this is nice. Libel's face turned red as if she noticed Dustless's invasive gaze. Everything happened so suddenly that she became Dustless's maid without any preparation. She was even brought into the house by Junai without bringing any facilities with her. Everything she used was Junai's. Junai's? She does have such a heavy taste. Dustless suddenly realized that Libel's pajamas were almost transparent. It was completely black with obvious lace at the cuffs. As Libel moved, her pale skin could be vaguely seen. Era. Is it really okay for you to talk about me like this? How am I a heavy taste? Dustless, tell me about it. A pungent fragrance came from behind. Dustless turned around and saw Junai hugging his head with a smile. She rubbed his head and asked jokingly, "How did it feel yesterday? I bet you had a good time with Miss Libel." Good time? Dustless shook his head when he heard that. He was so tired yesterday that he did not even manage to touch her before he fell asleep, let alone have a good time. Looks like it's not bad. After putting on his slippers, Dustless glanced at the dazzling array of food on the table. Dustless nodded inwardly. Today's breakfast was much more sumptuous than usual. Of course, the food you've been eating in the past was too monotonous. It's necessary to add the right amount of food, LaBelle said as if it was a matter of course. Dustless turned around and left. He hadn't washed his face and brushed his teeth. If he wasted any more time, he might be late again. The third year of Chariot King Academy. You finally arrived earlier than me today. What a miracle. Riaz, who had just stepped into the classroom, was shocked. It was her first time seeing Dustless arrive before her. Ahem. There's no need to be so surprised. Dustless waved at Riaz awkwardly, ignoring the jealous eyes of the other men around him, as he pulled Riaz to the side to sit down. Who asked them to be desk mates? By the way, I have something to tell you. Before Dustless could say anything, Riaz said in a serious tone, LaBelle's status is not ordinary. You forced her to be a maid, and that has attracted a lot of attention? So fast. Don't tell me someone is spreading the news on purpose? F***ck, there's a mole. Dustless was speechless. It was just yesterday's news, and he instinctively suspected that someone was spreading the news on purpose. Riaz was shocked by Dustless's sudden action. After she recovered, she explained. LaBelle is the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family. Her status is noble, and it's only a matter of time before someone finds out. What we need to worry about is not this, but the next problem. The next problem? There's no such thing as a problem in my life. Any problem that gives me a headache is a small matter that I can easily solve. Dustless said nonchalantly as he rested his head on the table, looking like he was about to fall asleep again. Bastard, you better wake up. Riaz did not know whether to laugh or cry. Her head hurt, and she could not help but think of Gulifia's words that Dustless always said. You're even harder to please than the Demon King. Riaz could not help but sigh. Looking at Dustless now, she suddenly felt that this sentence was too apt to describe him. Don't tell me it's LaBelle's family? If they want to take her away, they can try. I don't care. Dustless acted like he was unmoved by force or persuasion. He just smiled at the so-called Phoenix family, and did not take it to heart. He ignored it like a joke. It's not the Phoenix family. Your high profile has attracted the attention of the underworld, and I have to tell you seriously that the person who is looking for trouble this time is in the Horse King Academy. It's our student council president, Jitsu Kangna. Riaz's words were shocking. Dustless also made a rare expression of surprise. He rubbed his chin and said, Student council president? I've never paid attention to her, but I heard that her sister is one of the Demon Kings like your brother. Interesting. Interesting. Hearing that, Riaz's face darkened. If this matter was not handled properly, they might offend a Demon King, and the severe consequences were no joke. But speaking of which, I need to find out how I offended the student council president, who is Jitsu Kangna. Dustless looked like a curious baby, expressing that he really did not understand. He was not afraid of enemies, but being made a scapegoat for no reason, who would not be happy about it. It's hard not to notice. You destroyed the school field with a kick and turned LaBelle into a maid. If I were the student council president, I would also pay attention to you. You have only yourself to blame. Chapter 1277. Dustless smiled at Riaz's sarcasm. He was more or less interested in Ji Chutsong and that devil sister. Then why are they looking for me? Riaz, I'm your future husband. You won't just watch me get caught, right? Dustless said with a tone that said, If anything happens to me, you should come and protect me. Hearing that, Riaz's delicate face flashed with awkwardness. Her watery eyes looked around, and after making sure that no one heard them, she finally quieted down. In public, don't say that we're engaged. Riaz said sternly, but Dustless did not seem to mind. Sure, but you. Don't talk to me about a duel. I won't duel with you. Riaz shook her head like a wavy ghost. Without even thinking, she rejected Dustless's condition. LaBelle was a good example. Catch you? That's not going to happen. Of course, I won't leave you alone. Riaz gave him a comforting look, but deep in her eyes, there was a hint of schadenfreude. She actually hoped that Dustless and Ji Chutsong would have a conflict. They'll come and invite me after school, right? Dustless suddenly asked. Invite you? Hearing that, Riaz's face darkened. She said unhappily, You want her, the president of the student council, to invite you? Are you dreaming? That's really disappointing. Wu Chen muttered disappointedly. Then he didn't care anymore and started to sleep as usual. This time he fell asleep. Ding ding ding. When it was close to noon, the school bell rang. Riaz pushed Dustless, who was snoring. Get up, I'll let go of me. Riaz screamed unexpectedly. Caught off guard, Wu Chen grabbed her hand and placed it on top of her head like a pillow. This feeling. TSK not bad. Dustless closed his eyes and mumbled in his sleep, his face full of comfort. Hey, what kind of person is this guy? Riaz sighed as she stared at Dustless's sleeping face. His skin was smoother and fairer than a woman's, and Riaz could not help but pinch it. Very bouncy, Riaz said in surprise. She couldn't help but increase the force. You've got guts. You dare to pinch my face? Dustless suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Riaz with a half-smile. His shifty eyes darted around, and while Riaz was distracted, he suddenly got up and pulled her into his arms. Even if you want to cause trouble, you have to look at the situation first. This is a teacher. Li Yasi panted and said. She was hugged tightly by Wu Chen. Her whole body was soft, and she did not have any strength to move. Riaz even noticed that a pair of small hands had invaded her body when she was not paying attention, teasing her legs. It was as cunning as Dustless himself, deliberately teasing her. So you're saying that we can cause trouble in other situations? Dustless ignored Riaz's protest. His face was attacked, and it was a huge loss. If he did not get it back, it would be a huge loss. You despicable guy, you know that's not what I meant. Riaz scolded. Seeing that Dustless ignored her and continued to explore her body, Riaz had no choice but to release her magic to clear Dustless' mind. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Riaz was like a leak, and blood-red magic kept leaking out of her body, forming a dark red magic mist that covered Dustless' body. It even had the characteristics of lightning. Smack, smack, smack. The magic released a scorching attack, destroying Dustless' body. But what made Riaz break down was that Dustless did not even react. Yes, 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 right there, use more force. I fell asleep last night, and that little maid LaBelle was lazy and did not bathe me, so my body was itchy. But Riaz, your lightning was beautiful, and my body stopped itching immediately. Not bad, use more force. Wu Chen closed his eyes and enjoyed it. His demeanor was floating. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Riaz almost vomited blood when she heard that. She widened her eyes and looked at Dustless as if she was looking at a monster. Her eyes were filled with shock, and she asked quietly, "Are you sure your body is getting more and more comfortable? And not being whipped by the magic power? The two of you didn't go home after school, and instead stayed in the classroom to flirt. This is a big problem." A calm voice with a hint of dissatisfaction was suddenly heard. A girl wearing glasses and the uniform of the Colt King Academy appeared at the door of the classroom. She happened to see what happened just now. This person was the president of the student council, Chikot Songna. Miss Songna, oh, your real name should be Songna Sidi, but I still like the name Songna. Let me ask you this weekly. Hiding at the door and peeking at other couples. Why are you so thick-skinned? Dustless saw Songna appear and nodded secretly. She was also a beauty. Her skin was white and beautiful, and her body was very well proportioned. The parts that should be perky were not lying down, and the parts that should be perky were even more perky, especially her wise eyes, which added a unique mature aura to the girl. She exuded the aura of a noble, like a well-read queen. You said I'm thick-skinned? Chikot Songna's mouth twitched, and she glared at Dustless with fire in her eyes. Even Riaz was shocked by Dustless's words, let alone Chikot Songna herself. Although it was a little shameless to eavesdrop on other couples, you should not say it out loud. Chapter 1278. Cho Kang's face twitched violently as her magic went berserk. As the Demon King's sister, everyone who saw her would be fearful of her, or at least respectful. Now Dustless actually said, "How can you be so thick-skinned? How will she have a foothold in the future?" You, however, Cho Kang's tragedy was that just as she was about to finish her sentence, it was interrupted by Dustless's sudden change of events. What about me? Eavesdropping and peeking at others flirting. Don't you think it's very rude? Before you ask others, please apologize first, or I will refuse to answer all of your questions, Miss Cho Kang. Dustless showed another side of him other than his powerful strength. His poisonous mouth was still unforgiving as he said, "Of course, if you are the kind of person with no manners and vulgar taste, it's fine if you don't apologize. Similarly, I will not answer any of your questions." Dustless's words were like a sharp tooth that pierced deeply into Cho Kang's heart. Don't push your luck. The usually wise Cho Kang's tone had a rare touch of anger. After she glared at Silver, the accumulated anger in her heart also disappeared. I'm sorry just now. Recalling Dustless and Riaz's intimate actions just now, Cho Kang's little face turned red, and a flash of embarrassment flashed across her face. She said, "I'm really sorry for interrupting the two of you. Please don't forgive me." The girl's actions were elegant and calm and generous. Her expression was carefree as if nothing had happened just now. This girl. I wanted to deliberately make things difficult for her, but I didn't expect her to really apologize. I couldn't tell that this little girl is quite magnanimous. Dustless glanced at Chokang and couldn't help but treat her differently. "Miss Chokang, please speak your mind." With a smile, Dustless hugged Riaz in his arms and played with her. He also asked Chokang a question, her half-hearted attitude making him angry. What does this girl do? Although she's not bad-looking and seems to be quite strong, is her charm that great? What's with Riaz's uncontrollable look? Chikusatsang Na frowned. Faced with Dustless's teasing, Chikusatsang Na could see that Riaz was secretly delighted despite her disgusted expression. After all, she and Riaz had been close friends for many years. Since that's the case, I'll be frank. Ignoring Riaz's coquettish voice, he asked Song Na, "Please give me a reasonable explanation for your background. I let you in because..." At this point, Jichut Na paused and glanced at Riaz. This was all because of her, but now this B*TCH was flirting in someone else's arms. Outrageous. "I don't have any background. I'm just an ordinary solo cultivator. There's no need for me to be bothered by such trivial matters." Dustless answered frankly without any falsehood. However, these words infuriated Ji Chutsang. How could you be so strong without a single faction backing you? Forget it. Ji Chutsang Na sighed and stopped dwelling on this issue. She thought of LaBelle and said sternly, "You must release Miss LaBelle immediately. Letting her be your maid may hurt the dignity of the various families in the underworld. It may even lead to war." "Release her?" Hearing this, Dustless's lips curled into a mocking smile. He teased, "What if I don't release her?" "You. Don't push your luck. Figure out what kind of person is standing in front of you." Seeing how arrogant Dustless was, Ji Chutsangna's family could not sit still. They had tolerated Dustless enough, but they did not expect this guy to be so arrogant. He did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Perhaps in the eyes of this group of people, the so-called Demon King is invincible. How sad. Dustless laughed inwardly. Not to mention a mere Demon King. Even if 10 Demon Kings were stacked together, he would not be afraid. They were not existences of the same dimension at all. "I don't care who you are. Remember this clearly. I hate it when people threaten me. I will not release LaBelle. I will take her as my maid. If you want to use any means, feel free to do as you please." With that, Dustless closed his eyes and acted like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water. He looked very shameless. It's rare to see someone as insensible as you. Ji Chutsang now was not as irritable as the other family members. She was calm and did not beat around the bush. She went straight to the point. "Miss LaBelle is the eldest daughter of the Phoenix family. It's not appropriate for you to forcefully transfer her to be your maid. It's very likely that it will lead to unnecessary turmoil in the underworld." Ji Chutsang Na's tone was wise and full of philosophy. Everyone could not help but agree with her. Everything she said was reasonable. However, Dustless was a lump of iron. He did not listen to her at all. As expected of Tsang Na, her methods are indeed extraordinary. She's obviously trying to tell Dustless that taking LaBelle as his maid is going against the entire underworld. She's using her power to oppress him and cast herself in a position where she is not involved. She's playing it very well. Riaz was genuinely impressed. Song's cleverness was well known. At the same time, Riaz looked at Dustless with a serious expression. She was looking forward to his answer. Facing the entire underworld, anyone would be afraid and choose to compromise. How boring. Shrimp soldiers, crab generals, whatever. Come at me all at once. I don't have to go door to door to find her. Even if you don't find it tiring, I do. Dustless stretched his body and gave an answer that no one expected. Although we're in the same world, I'm fundamentally different from you. I'll only repeat this for the last time. I'm as high as the sky is. I'm as strong as God is. Chapter 1279. In the face of such arrogant words, even someone as wise and calm as Takakona couldn't help but burst into laughter. Forgive me for being blunt. Jichitsong stared at Dustless for a long time, but he did not see any hidden depths or a place where there was a peerless master. Instead, it was very wretched, especially when Dustless's hands and feet were very unscrupulous when he sneaked up on Ria's. His mouth would even curl up into a wretched smile. If there was some saliva left, he would definitely be a weird uncle. In my eyes, you are just a despicable person who only knows how to take advantage of girls. Takakona mocked mercilessly. She originally wanted to settle this matter peacefully, but since Dustless didn't know what was good for him, then forget it. President is right. That's right, I can see it too. He is a wretched, despicable person. Together with Huta Issei and the other two, they can form the Okafor. Senior Ryath must have been deceived by this guy. What did he do to win Senior Ryath's favor? He must be a liar. Takakona's subordinates immediately started to criticize Dustless. They didn't like Dustless's arrogance from the start. Since Takakona had already started to criticize him, they wouldn't hold back. You guys, Dustless couldn't help but touch his chin when he saw this, and a mocking expression appeared on his face. Then why don't we have a duel? With a sly look on his face, Dustless suggested. Bring it on, who is afraid of you? Hearing the confidence in Dustless's tone, Takakona's subordinates weren't happy. They all rushed to agree to Dustless's challenge. Among them, Takakona's queen Shinra Chuanji was the most enthusiastic. So that you won't say that we are bullying you with numbers, I will fight you one-on-one. Shinra Chuanji stood out resolutely. Her bright eyes looked like she wanted to teach Dustless a lesson. Your looks are not bad, but your strength is not worthy of praise. Dustless ignored everyone and sighed. What did you say? Hearing that, Shinra Chuanji's eyes flashed with anger. Dustless actually dared to mock her in front of so many people. Shinra Chuanji's arrogant heart couldn't take it. As the subordinate of the Cult King Academy's president, there was no need to doubt his strength. Idiot, you're the one who challenged me. Don't regret it. Dustless chuckled to himself. Just as he was thinking about how to deal with Shinra Chuanji, he suddenly recalled a special skill of Hyoto Kazunari's. You asked for it. Dustless glanced at Shinra Chuanji and slightly revealed his aura. A formless pressure enveloped Shinra Chuanji. Her expression changed drastically. An indescribable pressure suppressed her, causing her to break out in cold sweat. Ka. A crisp sound suddenly rang out, and the sky was suddenly filled with snowflakes. Ah! A few seconds later, Shinra Chuanji's shriek rang out, causing one's scalp to go numb. Looking straight at her, he saw that her clothes were all torn apart. Teskete. Brother Hyoto's clothes disintegration is indeed a good skill. Dustless smiled evilly. At the same time he comforted her. It's all right, Miss Shinra. You don't have to mind it. I promise I won't peek at you. However, is the topic of our competition about taking off clothes? Is the one who takes it off faster the winner? If so, I'm going to take off my clothes too. After saying that, Dustless ignored everyone's stunned gaze and started to take off his clothes. Dustless had obviously undergone special training. In just a blink of an eye, Dustless was only left with his underwear. Stop it right now! Shinra Chuanji exclaimed. She was shocked by Dustless's actions. Seeing that Dustless was about to take off his last piece of clothing, they would really be naked. Isn't this a stripping competition? Wu Chun pretended to be at a loss and said, making everyone speechless. You. Shinra Chuanji glared fiercely at Dustless. She was so frustrated that she almost vomited blood. Although she did not have any evidence to prove that Dustless was the culprit in this big room. Who else would do such a thing other than Dustless? It was obvious who the culprit was. Then, are you still going to compete? Dustless shrugged and asked in a bored manner. He was hoping to have some fun with this group of people, but he did not expect that he would almost collapse after just a short while. Their ability to resist attacks was a little too weak. Competition? Hearing that, the faces of Zhuangna and the others darkened. They were filled with fear. If Dustless was a normal person and could compete fairly, they would not mind at all. However, Shinra Chuanji's tragic experience made everyone suspicious. If they participated in this so-called competition, they might end up like Shinra Chuanji. I have no interest in competing with you. You have to give me Miss LaBelle today, or I will take other measures. Don't doubt my words. If you think I'm joking, you will not be able to bear the consequences. Zhuangna said straightforwardly to Dustless. She suddenly realized that there was no need for her to talk nonsense. Her sister was one of the 4 great demon kings. Was there a need for her to be afraid of an unknown clown? Are you planning to use force? Wu Chen said in surprise. At the same time, her face outlined a faint smile of a successful plot. If she could take advantage of this opportunity to take down Ji Chutsong, then her sister would definitely come out. To be honest, Wu Chen was full of expectations for the Demon King. Chapter 1280. In this world, creatures like demon kings were almost deified. They were the synonym of omnipotence, as though they could easily deal with anything in this world. Dustless, who did not believe in superstition, wanted to experience the might of the Demon King myself. Aren't you relying on your Demon King sister? Even she is going to be in trouble this time. Compared to the worried Rias, Dustless was laughing happily. I almost clapped my hands and laughed. The two of you. It's not appropriate for you to ignore me like this. A magic circle similar to the one Labelle used before appeared. Then a frivolous, arrogant, and condescending voice sounded from it. This guy is... Riaz's face darkened. The smell of flames assaulted her face. The surrounding temperature immediately rose and a destructive aura filled the air. I don't need you to tell me who he is. Looking at his retarded hairstyle and his ability that is infinitely similar to Labelle's, I know that he is Labelle's brother. Am I right, Riaz? Dustless waved his hand and told Riaz that he already knew who this idiot with blonde hair who looked like a turkey was. Even without the introduction, Labelle's brother was no doubt Rizel Phoenix. What did you call me? Within the flames, a dissatisfied voice sounded. It was filled with endless anger, mixed with killing intent and hatred. Riaz, you didn't hesitate to offend the Phoenix family just for this perverted guy? Looking at Riaz with dissatisfaction, Rizel Phoenix stepped out of the flames. You said I'm perverted? Hearing that, Dustless's face was filled with ridicule. This playboy called him perverted, but he was the perverted demon. That was removed by my brother. If you want to find trouble, please go find Sazek's Jamonli. Riaz was unmoved. She purposely leaned into Dustless's arms with a blissful expression. Quite naughty. Seeing that, Dustless smiled. He knew that Riaz was purposely trying to piss off the Firebird. Dustless did not hold back. He immediately pulled Riaz into his arms. In front of Kangna, Rizel Phoenix and the others, he lightly tapped her forehead. You two. Riaz and Dustless's intimacy, regardless of the occasion, immediately triggered the anger in Rizel Phoenix's heart. This was a blatant slap to his face. Originally, he was the one who pulled Riaz into his arms, but now it was Dustless. Every time he thought of this, Rizel would feel aggrieved. Because he was the young master of the Phoenix family, everyone was afraid of him. Even if he were to be cuckolded, he would be the one to be cuckolded. This was the first time he experienced this feeling that he had never felt before. His heart was broken. I want to participate in this competition too. Clenching his fist, Rizel Phoenix vowed. I still want to win back my sister. Does this idiot know how to speak after suffering a concussion? What does he take her sister for? Is she a commodity? Riaz was speechless. She could not help but rejoice for her future. Dustless's personality was a little weird, but at least he was reliable. After all, Riaz's strength was what she relied on. Even if he looked a little bad and a little too much, it was not a big problem. You don't have the chance to participate. Glancing at Rizel Phoenix, Dustless solemnly declared. You think I don't have the chance just because you say so? You think you're the judge? Rizel Phoenix sneered. He completely ignored Dustless's words and turned a deaf ear to them. Dustless looked at Phoenix in surprise and said without hiding anything. How smart. I'm the judge. Now I say you can go home and sleep. What did you say? Hearing that, Ristle Phoenix was enraged. His hair stood on end. Even the Demon King was not as arrogant as this guy. He actually dared to tell him to go home and sleep. This was ridiculous. Don't you understand? Because you're going to be eliminated now. Dustless calmly raised his leg and gathered a majestic flash. The extremely dazzling light made people instinctively take a step back. Lightspeed kick. A straight ray shot out. It was so fast that no living creature could see it. Just like its name, Lightspeed kick. Boom boom boom. The ground where Ristle Phoenix was standing was mercilessly kicked by Dustless. A deep scorched pit instantly appeared. The violent energy fluctuations caused the entire Cult King Academy to tremble. This guy is really a monster. He used the same move to crush LaBelle's confidence last time. This time, it's Ristle again. If I'm not wrong. Thinking of that, Riaz could not help but look at the dazed Chikwa Kangna. If she was not wrong, she would be the next unlucky one. The black pit on the ground was a shocking sight. It lingered in everyone's mind. Chikwa Kangna and the others were especially heavy. They had wanted to take Dustless for themselves. Now that the other party had displayed his super strong combat power, Chikwa Kangna and her family's impassioned hearts felt like they had been splashed with a bucket of cold water. Such a powerful monster was not something they could fight against. Hehe, you want to defeat me? Stop dreaming. Do you think an ordinary person like you can understand the physique that the Phoenix family is proud of? It's impossible for you to defeat me with this kind of ordinary physical attack. Riser's shattered body was instantly repaired. He laughed arrogantly. As the saying goes, extreme joy begets sorrow. Before he could be arrogant for long, Ristle's laughter stopped. It was a tragedy in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1281. Originally, when Ristle was about to launch an attack to fight back, he felt that his body was not listening to him, and was suppressed by some mysterious force. His knees could not be straightened, his face was stuck to the ground, and he looked up at Dustless sullenly. Bastard, this is your doing, right? Ristle Phoenix roared at Dustless, who was walking towards him. His mouth was wide open as if he wanted to swallow Dustless alive. It was extremely uncomfortable, and he felt that his head was about to explode. You are not convinced? Looking down at Ristle, whose eyes were red, Dustless glanced at him indifferently. Then he immediately lost interest. It was really boring to fight such trash. Let me go if you have the guts. I will definitely kill you. Ristle shouted stubbornly, and his furious tone was as if he wanted to die together with Dustless. Hearing this, a cold light flashed in Dustless's eyes, and he lifted his right foot again, and then ruthlessly stomped down. Boom boom boom. A hole appeared on the ground. Ristle's head was stomped into the ground by Dustless. He was like a bug that was being trampled on. The gap between us is like the gap between humans and God. Receiving a fatal blow. Ristle's teeth were all broken. Bastard, put down Sir Ristle. Ristle's blessings glared at Dustless as they charged at him one after another. It's really surprising that a trash like you has so many fans. Hehe, but it's a pity. Dustless said regretfully, and his eyes became colder. Without even moving his hands, Haushika Haki directly erupted. Boom boom boom. Monstrous majesty erupted from Dustless's body, as if he was the reincarnation of a god, and the whole world was affected, especially the sky above Horse King Academy. It was shocking, and it turned into a bottomless black hole, as if the sky had collapsed. Plop! Ristle's followers fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, and without even moving their hands, they were all put down by Dustless. Let go of my brother. At this moment, an anxious and clear voice was heard, followed by a series of messy footsteps. Dustless sensed that the voice was somewhat familiar. He turned around and saw that it was LaBelle, who was dressed as a maid. She was Ristle's younger sister. Master, please be magnanimous and let him go. Knowing how terrifying Dustless was, LaBelle put on a submissive expression and spoke in an ingratiating tone. LaBelle? Why did you become like this? Ristle's eyes widened as he looked at LaBelle in disbelief. She was dressed in maid attire, and had a fawning expression on her face. Let him go. Of course, no problem. Hearing this, Dustless completely retracted his aura, retracting his foot from Ristle's head. Dustless stared at LaBelle for a while, then lifted her jade-white chin and blew a breath of hot air into her ear. But your brother wants to kill me. This kind of person is too dangerous. It's not impossible for me to let him go, but you have to compensate me for my loss, understand? Miss LaBelle. After Dustless said this, everyone's gaze was focused on LaBelle's face. Everyone understood what Dustless meant. That, LaBelle was shocked. Her face was flushed red, and she looked rather cute. The only disappointing thing was that she was scared out of her wits. She naturally understood what Dustless meant. Kid, you better get this straight. She's my sister and she's my relative. Let me tell you, without my permission, she won't marry anyone. Rissel shouted angrily. At the same time, he felt even more aggrieved. Isn't this better? If your sister becomes my woman, even if you cause trouble in the demonic realm in the future, there will be someone to settle it for you. Don't you want to have a demonic king as your backer? Dustless tempted with a smile. His words made Ji Tsutsong's expression change. The underworld was only so big, and there were already 4 demonic kings. Moreover, Riaz's brother was one of them. If there was another one now, there would be no peace in the future. The strong preyed on the weak, and resources were the exclusive rights of the strong. Gulp. Rissel Phoenix choked. His ferocious expression suddenly calmed down, and his eyes flashed. It was undeniable that what Dustless said was the truth. If they could rope in such a super-strong person, it would only be a matter of time before the Phoenix family rose to power. I agree to Master's conditions, but you have to let my brother go first. LaBelle could only compromise. In the face of absolute power, no matter how much she struggled, it would all be for naught. I've been waiting for you to say that. Hearing that, Dustless let out a carefree smile. His eyes were looking at LaBelle's hot body. Just as he was about to swallow her alive, he suddenly heard a piercing voice. I object. Ji Tsutsong stood up and said resolutely. You object? You want to meddle in my business? Just you? Don't be so full of yourself. Dustless snorted. There was a hint of mockery in his tone. If you want to fight me one-on-one, at least call that demonic king sister of yours over. It's best if you don't try to anger me. Otherwise, you'll end up worse than Rissel. At the same time, LaBelle used a magic circle to send her brother, Rissel, and a few of his family members back to the underworld. It would only take a few minutes for them to go back and forth, so they did not dare to delay. After that, LaBelle elegantly walked up to Dustless in her maid uniform. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, she took the initiative to undress Dustless. Seeing this, not only were Kangna and her kin panicking, even Riaz, who had been calm all this while, had a frozen expression on her face. Is this guy planning to do that in front of us? These are the teachers of the Chariot King Academy. Chapter 1282. This guy definitely doesn't care about me, his fiancée. He actually dared to do such a dirty thing in front of me. Damned bastard, he doesn't know how to behave himself. Riaz clenched her teeth in anger. Dustless was humiliating her in front of her face. His fiancé was right here, and as her fiancé, Dustless was about to perform an erotic scene in front of everyone. Riaz only felt that she had lost all face. Master, are you feeling unwell? Libel half knelt on the ground with a charming smile on her pretty face. Her youthful body was emitting a mature charm, and her entire body was emitting a sexy aura. Looking into Libel's eyes, Dustless had a crazy thought of taking her for himself. Some people would act pitiful to make others feel pity for them. Some people would only arouse the hidden ambition in the depths of others' hearts. Right now Dustless was such a person. He only wanted to trample on Libel. His entire body was burning up, and his face was red as if he was poisoned. Veins were popping out on his forehead, and his breathing was accelerating. My entire body is feeling unwell. Hurry up and use your body to cool me down. Dustless's tone revealed a hint of irritation and impatience. He suddenly realized his thoughts. In the past, he was simply too naive and childish. His fist was bigger, and he could just snatch whatever he liked. There was no need to care about other people's feelings. This was the privilege of the strong. Yes, master. Libel's white jade-carved chin nodded slightly. She forcefully concealed the discomfort in her heart. Her slender hands gently undressed Dustless until a pair of underwear was revealed. Only then did someone jump out and yell for them to stop. Please stop before going too far. I am the president of the student council. As the president of the student union, she couldn't tolerate this kind of thing happening. However, Dustless did not pay attention to her and directly ignored her. Dustless directly pulled Libel into his embrace and treated everyone else as air. MMMMMMMM. Opening his mouth, Dustless roughly captured Libel's thin lips, and his kiss became even more intense. Only when Libel couldn't bear it anymore and was about to suffocate did Dustless stop. Everyone. Is it really alright for you all to watch me and Libel do that sort of thing? Dustless asked as he stroked Libel's hair. You're the one who should be paying attention. Ji Tsutsong was on the verge of going berserk. The devil chi in his entire body was already leaking out. If it wasn't for Dustless's strength, he would have already gone up and killed him. So what if I don't pay attention? Dustless was extremely arrogant and did not put Ji Qichong in his eyes at all. I can tell you clearly that I will not listen to your orders. Don't rely on your sister's reputation. If you have the guts, then fight me. After saying that, Dustless's chakra vibrated, and his remaining clothes were torn apart. He looked at Libel, who was kneeling on the ground mockingly. Yes, master. I understand what you mean. Libel moved closer to Dustless and obediently nodded. Gulp. Gulp. Dustless narrowed his eyes and carefully savored the softness of Libel's mouth. He could not help but moan in pleasure. A pair of adulterous couple, Ji Qichong cursed. His tightly clenched fists had dense bulging veins. Dustless was actually doing such a shameless thing with Libel in broad daylight. Especially when Libel's face was filled with curiosity and had the expression of a child eating a lollipop. Ji Qichong was in an uproar. Dustless patted Libel's head and gently said, Take it slow. There's no need to rush, Libel. Then he looked at Ji Qichong and suddenly mocked. You think Libel is very cheap? You don't have the qualifications to criticize others. At the very least, she doesn't need to rely on others to survive. She is self-reliant. I like this kind of girl more. Really, master? Libel's heart was filled with warmth. Dustless's image in her heart was instantly elevated. Of course. Dustless gave her a look of praise and appreciation. Hearing this, Libel was even more touched. Her actions became even more attentive. If Libel had some resistance towards Dustless before, then she was completely loyal now. Originally, Dustless still felt some pain. This was also the reason why Libel's technique was not very good. After all, it was her first time. However, when Libel heard Dustless's words just now, she was extremely touched. The barrier in her heart completely disappeared. Motivated and moved, Libel worked even harder. As expected, women are meant to be coaxed and tricked. Dustless said proudly. It was also at this moment that a torrential magic fluctuation descended from the sky. Dustless subconsciously used a move to counterattack. Binding Path 81 Sky Shattering. A transparent defensive barrier appeared. It was as thin as a cicada's wing and crystal clear. What's the use of this trash? Ji Qichong, who had launched the surprise attack, said disdainfully. Just don't cry when you lose. Dustless said with a faint smile. He was extremely bored as he rubbed Libel's golden hair. At this moment, she had completely entered a state of selflessness. She turned a deaf ear to everything around her and worked hard for Dustless. Idiot, you've been poisoned quite badly. Riaz sighed. She knew that a young girl in her prime had become Dustless's slave. Although she felt that it was a pity, Riaz did not mind. She knew that this was only the first. There would be more people falling in the future. With invincible strength, a handsome face, and a mouth that specialized in tricking women, Riaz knew that her supernatural research department would sooner or later become Dustless's harem headquarters. Boom. Boom. At the same time, the majestic magic crashed into the barrier. The originally crystal-clear defensive barrier was instantly corroded and formed a layer of ice. As expected, you can't even withstand a single blow. Ji Chutsong-na curled his lips and shouted, "Break for me!" Ka, ka, ka. The ice did indeed break. However, what Ji Chichong could not believe was that Dustless's barrier was still intact. Chapter 1283. Chokang-na was shocked. She did not expect the barrier that was only as thick as a piece of paper to be so hard. The chances of it being shaken were zero. Her Weibo could not do it at all. "Miss Chokang-na, you were the one who attacked me this time," Dustless said with a playful smile. His words sent Chokang-na straight to hell. She felt cold all over and lost her most basic senses. She was hit hard. Her full-strength attack could not even break through a barrier in front of Dustless, let alone defeat him. Now it's my turn to fight back. Staring at Chokang-na's naked body, Dustless was not in a hurry to make a move. He seemed to be observing where to attack. Just scare her a little. There's no need to do it for real. Riaz pulled on Dustless's clothes, hoping that Dustless would dismiss the idea in his mind. Of course, I'm just scaring her. I'll stop when it's time to stop her from finding trouble with me in the future. You don't have to worry about this, Riaz. Dustless rolled his eyes. Stop when it's time? Hearing that, Riaz rolled her eyes at Dustless. She could not help but complain in her mind. Who knows what you mean when it's time to stop when it's time? Then, staring at Chokang-na's body for a few seconds, Dustless teased, "As punishment for attacking me, I'll first strip off your clothes and tie you up for 3 days. Are you crazy?" Chokang-na panicked. She did not even dare to pick up her glasses when they fell to the ground. It was not that she was timid, but the moment Chokang-na picked up her glasses, she would be tied up naked for 3 days. She did not dare to doubt Dustless's strength at all. This soft girl looks strong on the outside, but she's actually very weak on the inside. Seeing this, Wu Chen smiled, and the corner of his mouth swept up a wicked smile. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Dustless turned into a flash of light and attacked. He appeared behind Chokang-na without any warning and tore her clothes apart. Crack crack crack. Her smooth and delicate skin was exposed to everyone's eyes. Fortunately, there were no other men here. Only Dustless was able to feast his eyes on her. Ah! An earth-shattering scream resounded through the entire sky. Chi Dokong was on the verge of collapse, and his face was lifeless. "I won't let you go, never." Ji Chuetsong gritted his teeth and said. His teeth creaked as if they were about to break. "Is this what you meant by not going overboard? If you knew this would happen, you might as well have killed her. Sai, Song will also hate me now. Really, why is this troublesome person my fiancé?" She knew that Song-na's elder sister, Leviathan, was a Siscon, and this meant that they had offended a demon king. Bastard, who the hell hurt my cute little sister? In the depths of the clouds, a thunderclap exploded. The entire world was silent, and not a single sound could be heard. No one dared to defy that supreme voice. I'm sorry, I only played a little game with your sister." Dustless touched his nose embarrassedly and said, "She attacked me. I just want to strip her naked for 3 days. There shouldn't be any problem. After all, it's your sister who attacked me. It shouldn't be too much to punish her a little. Even if you're a demon, you have to be reasonable." Chapter 1284. Is this just a small punishment? Strip the Demon King's sister naked for 3 days. Even if you have 10 heads, it won't be enough to appease Seraphil Sidi's anger. Riaz said angrily, her ferocious eyes wanting to bite Dustless to death. This guy is not afraid of the Demon King. He's obviously deliberately angering Seraphil. Huh. You want to strip my lovely sister naked for 3 days? That's a good idea. Are all young people nowadays so playful? A girl with a plump figure descended from the sky. The breeze blowing gently, her twin ponytails swaying back and forth, coupled with her white face, was particularly cute. The girl, like Asana, has purple dreamy eyes, bright eyes, white teeth, and a proud cleavage that almost bursts out of her clothes. Dustless, who has become more and more shameless, immediately opened the Tensigan and used that perverted insight to spy on Seraphil. In the near future, I'll have a sister-in-law duo like Eulifia and Lise. Who would have thought that the heavens would be in such a hurry to kiss my ass and send me another sister-in-law duo? TSK. Since the heavens are trying so hard to kiss my ass, then this world won't be destroyed. Dustless secretly decided to give up this world once. Whether it was the world of Naruto, One Piece, or the world of Shinigami, almost all of them were ruined by Dustless in the end. Great! Under the vision of the Tensigan, Seraphil was almost naked. Dustless saw it clearly. Dustless can't find the slightest fault. The only flaw is that the girl's face is full of violent murderous intent at the moment. You want me to reason with you? Young man, are you kidding? Or are you not awake? Have you ever seen a reasonable demon king? Seraphil's face was full of arrogance. A demon king talking to a little pawn. This is Dustless's honor. And you are definitely the most courageous human I have ever seen. Staring at Dustless with a wretched smile on his face, Seraphil sneered. Since I arrived just now, you have peeked at my Ueshiong, tribe 10 times, great Uere, tribe 20 times, and, speaking of this, Seraphil's face flashed with an unnatural blush, and she subconsciously closed her legs. She stared at Dustless's right eye strangely. That magical eye seemed to be able to see through things. She felt that her most secret place was exposed to Dustless's eyes. He couldn't help but feel awkward. This kid looks pretty good. Staring at Dustless's face, Seraphil's beautiful eyes glowed. The young man's face was like a crown of jade. His 2 large eyes were like the stars in the sky, sparkling. His messy black hair was as black as ink, and his beautiful hair danced in the wind. Dustless's temperament was also extremely extraordinary, and he looked much more mature than his appearance. However, you actually dared to bully my sister. Even if you are Sazak's future brother-in-law, I won't let you off easily. Seraphil's lovely temperament changed drastically, and she suddenly exuded the demeanor of a ruler overlooking the world. It gave off a domineering feeling of supremacy over all living things. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Everyone felt the absolute oppression. Their bodies were all bent, and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. They couldn't help but show fear and panic. Ah la la la. What's there to be afraid of about this little girl who looks like she's about to explode? This sentence instantly petrified everyone. Their gazes coincidentally turned to the source of the voice. Even if I'm handsome, you don't have to look at me like that. Dustless said embarrassedly, but there was a smug smile on his face. Obviously he did it on purpose. What did you call me? Seraphil's cheeks swelled up like a hydrogen balloon and turned red. Kid, say it again if you dare. That he. Riaz almost broke down. She suddenly felt that she was very unlucky to have such a terrible fiancé. Are your ears that bad? I'll repeat it for the last time. Respected and lovely Miss Devil King, I'm calling you a little girl. Hearing that, the entire scene was silent. Everyone was shocked by Dustless's words. Forcibly suppressing the rising waves in her heart that wanted to strangle Dustless, Seraphil asked again. You know that I'm the Devil King, and you still dare to call me a little girl? I do know that you're the Devil King, but so what? Dustless looked at her as if she was an idiot. Good kid, you've got guts. You wanted to strip Song Na naked for 3 days? I'm going to strip you naked for 30 days. Seraphil said angrily. She felt like her lungs were about to explode. Is that so? What a coincidence. Dustless pursed his lips. Under everyone's gaze, he said something shocking. I also want to strip you naked and just look at you naked. That's too boring. After stripping you naked, I'll treat you as a trophy and have a pleasant sex drive. I thought you were young and ignorant, but now it seems that you're a complete idiot. I'm afraid you don't even know how to spell the word death. You also don't understand what the Devil King means to this world. Seraphil shook her head, telling herself that there was no need to argue with a child. You're right. I really don't understand what the Devil King means to this world, but an extremely terrifying aura spread out from Dustless. He said expressionlessly, You'll soon understand what I mean to this world. As a higher-level life form, after going through the baptism of several worlds, his strength had already reached an unprecedented level. It was very suitable to use a Devil King to establish his dominance. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. With that, Dustless's body turned into a dazzling light and rushed out. arriving behind Seraphil at the speed of light. She was still in shock and disbelief, as if she had not realized how Dustless disappeared. Chapter 1285. Shock flashed across Seraphil's pretty face. She didn't expect Dustless to be so fast. He was so fast that she didn't even have time to react. It was as terrifying as traveling through space. He disappeared from her sight like a ghost. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Feeling a chill behind her, Seraphil subconsciously turned around and saw a golden greatsword slashing down. In a moment of desperation, she hurriedly used a move to defend herself. A high-density ice barrier appeared above her head like a wall. Ka. It didn't look impressive, but the crude barrier she used at the critical moment was pretty good at defense. It instantly blocked the heavenly sword of clouds formed by the glint fruit. I have to say, I really underestimated you. Seeing that his attack was blocked, Dustless took a step back and put away the heavenly sword of clouds. Of course, you must have underestimated me. As soon as she said that, Seraphil regretted it. Dustless's tone was as if their positions had been switched. Dustless had become a peerless powerhouse, while she herself had become a rookie. Where was her dignity as the Demon King? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. With a gentle wave of her slender hand, numerous ice cones shot out like a shower. Seraphil's attainments in ice magic were extremely high. She used it with ease. As long as it was an ice magic attack, there was nothing she couldn't do. Seeing this, Dustless smiled sweetly. He didn't dodge or counterattack, as if he had accepted his fate and quietly waited for death to descend. You're so weak. Seraphil's crescent eyes flashed with doubt. She couldn't help but frown. Dustless didn't seem like the kind of person who would give up easily. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The ice cones pierced Dustless's body, but there was no bloody scene. It was as if he didn't exist. The ice cones simply filtered through Dustless's body. The injured area only emitted a faint golden light, which then quickly healed. What kind of heaven-defying ability is this? Ignoring physical attacks? Or can it heal all wounds? Seraphil's eyes stopped moving. She had seen countless mystical moves, but this was the first time she had seen such a strange move that defied common sense. It's just a small trick. Dustless gently shook his head. Then, with a glare, he crossed the distance in an instant and appeared in front of Seraph in the blink of an eye. The two were so close that they could even hear each other's breathing. It smells really good. Dustless was not in a hurry to attack. The young girl's body fragrance invaded his nose and ears without warning, causing him to be distracted for a moment. You are shameless. Hearing this, Seraph flew into a rage. She raised her hand and unleashed an earth-shattering attack. She was like an ice goddess, and all kinds of matter in the world turned into ice. The ground froze at an incredible speed, as did all the buildings around it. The Colt King Academy had turned into a palace of ice and snow. What a powerful aura! Surprise flashed through Dustless's eyes as his interest was piqued. Not only did Seraphil's sudden outburst not scare Dustless away, it even increased his arrogance. Aren't you proud? I'm going to crush your confidence and make you worthless. With a stern expression, Dustless's body was surrounded by an even greater pressure, temporarily suppressing Seraph's aura. His lips curled into a mocking smile as he took a big stride forward and pulled Seraph into his arms. Furthermore, he had shamelessly snatched away her first time. Boom boom boom. Carefully sensing the warmth on her lips that had not yet dissipated, Seraph's head exploded. She subconsciously touched her mouth. Dustless's lips tasted quite good, with an indescribable fragrance. This guy can't be a girl, right? Seraph doubted. Then remembered that her virginity was taken away. The surging magic power turned into an endless ocean, shattering the sky. The clear sky disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only endless haze. Black clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The endless thunderclouds squirmed like a human heart. The scene was chilling and involuntarily distanced themselves from Seraph and Dustless. This guy really infuriated Seraph. Riaz was drenched in cold sweat. She knew that she had to choose a new fiancé because Dustless was about to fall. A demon king already had the power to destroy the world. A demon king burning with anger would only increase her power exponentially, and she would be far more powerful than usual. This bastard took away the barrier's virginity? Song's eyes widened, and for a moment, even the fact that she was still naked was out of her mind. This is the price for infuriating me. Under everyone's fearful gaze, Seraph's body was unaffected by gravity for a moment, and slowly floated into the depths of the sky. With her appearance, it was as if the end of the world was coming, and the world was about to step into destruction. The world became deathly silent, and only suffocating despair was left in the world. Croak, croak, croak. The sound of a celestial body breaking was heard, and a bottomless black hole floated in the void, rapidly expanding and swallowing the entire sky. Since when did I become so strong? Seraph said in a daze as she looked at the black hole that swallowed dozens of kilometers in the blink of an eye. She could not help but be a little dazed. She did not expect such powerful strength to erupt from her anger. She suddenly felt that Sazax and the other demon kings were all jokes. Chapter 1286. Above the ninth heaven, the huge black hole continued to devour the surrounding sky, trying to annihilate the entire world. The unstoppable momentum seemed to pull the whole world into hell to be buried together with it. Really, why didn't I realize that I was so powerful before? Seraphil smiled, but in the eyes of the enemy, they couldn't help but shudder. Everyone took the initiative to distance themselves from Dustless for fear of being caught in the crossfire. Boy, if you can kneel down and beg me. Looking at the awe-inspiring Dustless, Seraphil couldn't help but feel curious. She still didn't know where Dustless's unshakable courage came from. Forget it, maybe some people are born with a one-track mind, and the ignorant are fearless. Seraphil was relieved, and a magnanimous look appeared on her pretty face. She said, "If you are willing to apologize and take the initiative to strip yourself naked for 3 days, I can let bygones be bygones. Well, I'm in a good mood now. If you feel that you are late, maybe." "I refuse." Glancing at Seraphil, Dustless simply responded and didn't say any more nonsense. Boy who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, you are courting death. Seeing this, Seraphil gently raised her hand, and suddenly an ice palm covered the sky. Seraphil's expression was cold, and a big hand containing high-density magical power fell from the sky with her anger. Extremely fragile. Bored looked up. An array of flame light appeared in her hand. It was a casual move, but the majestic and motionless ground was pulled by some mysterious force, and instantly became restless. The cool ground was suddenly filled with blazing heat, and a burst of crimson flame overflowed the ground. When the big ice hand was about to hit Dustless, he shouted, and a fiery red halo quietly emerged, and without warning, everything that came in contact with him instantly disappeared. Uchiha Flame Array. The explosion barrier, tens of meters high, rushed into the sky, and the seemingly invincible big ice hand disappeared without a trace in an instant. The heat of the flame barrier evaporated it. Not only that, but Seraphil herself was also attacked by the explosion. Seraph was shocked and angry. Her words were mixed with shyness. His cute uniform was burned by the high temperature, and his clothes floated in the air. You. Seraphil's eyes widened, and her twin ponytails stood up in anger. Her delicate face was flushed red, and her smile was bewitching. But what was tragic was that she was so angry. How can this guy be so shameless? Do you specialize in hitting other people's clothes? How could such a scum exist in this world? He is the public enemy of all women. Sefil was naked. Her nose was almost crooked from anger. She couldn't breathe properly and was panting heavily. Her graceful body was moving back and forth slightly. That soul-stirring curve made one's heart burn. She's getting worse and worse. Wu Chun sighed with emotion. He wasn't like this in the past. With a slight sway, the whole world passed through his eyes. Wu Chun announced loudly, "You women are all evil spirits who bring disaster to the world. For the future peace, I can only reluctantly catch all of you in one net and return peace to this starry sky." This guy is shameless. Riaz's mouth twitched, and her whole face was about to cramp. It was the first time she saw someone as shameless and despicable as Dustless. He was clearly a pervert, and yet he was pointing fingers at others. Shameless. Kid, don't be so smug. You think this is over? I was careless just now. Seraphal's magic power surged, and she set off another apocalyptic attack. Blue magic power that was almost in liquid form overflowed from her body and rushed into the sky. It froze the endless void, and a large ice continent floated in the sky. The sun was blocked, and the light that shone down from the sky was blue cold air. Seems very strong, Dustless said with interest, but his eyes were fixed on Seraphal. His eyes were shining, and it was clear that the naked body was stronger than the apocalyptic attack. Die for me. Seraphal, who was furious, could not take it anymore. She felt that she had lost all dignity and face, and was being played around by Dustless like a clown. Using all her strength, Seraphal threw the ice continent at Dustless. Do you have to be so angry? I just took a look. I didn't even touch it. Dustless spat in dissatisfaction. At the same time, blue materialized chakra appeared from his body and rose hundreds of meters into the air. A behemoth wearing a Tengu helmet and heavy armor appeared. The giant's head reached the sky and its feet stepped on the ground. Its two eyes, which were bigger than a human's head, looked disdainfully at the common people. It stood silently on the ground, and the vicissitudes of life from its body seemed to have crossed time and space from ancient times. The giant had not made a move, but the people who saw it had already collapsed. Their inner confidence shattered piece by piece, and could no longer be healed. The gap between a man and a god could not be made up by pure effort. Looking at the incoming ice block, Kensusanu's perfect body unsheathed the long sword in his hand. Pucci. A thick cold light fell from the sky, and with a swing, everything was over. The ice, which was 10 kilometers long, was immediately split by an overwhelming force. The perfect body blew it up with a single strike. This gaze is so annoying. The defeated Seraphal locked onto Dustless, who was above Kensusanu's head. That gaze that ignored all life made her feel particularly fragile. She would die if the giant gently poked her. Chapter 1287. Seraphal's beautiful eyes flashed with unwillingness. She was a demon king, yet she was being suppressed by an unknown character. Looking at the current situation, the fate of defeat was inevitable. She absolutely couldn't accept it. Still planning to struggle? Dustless frowned. He couldn't help but admire this woman's fighting spirit. An ordinary person's self-esteem would collapse upon seeing Kensusanu's complete form. Struggle? Are you kidding? I'm one of the demon kings. Enemies can only howl at my feet. Seraphal stood up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She bared her fangs and brandished her claws at Dustless, looking quite cute. You forced me to do this. I'll let you know the horror of a demon king. The magic power in Seraphal's body exploded in one go. Because she was good at using ice magic, the explosion was all transparent ice dregs. I remember that she's still young. It's already commendable for her to reach this level. Looking at the majestic magic power gathering in the sky, Dustless nodded in admiration. The ice meteorite ball, completely compressed from high-density magic power, floated above Dustless's head. It was as if Seraphal could make the ice meteorite ball fall with just a thought. Still so confident. Seeing Dustless's sloppy attitude, Seraphal couldn't help but get angry. She gritted her teeth and made the meteorite fall directly. If you do this, Chariot King Academy will also disappear. Song said with an ugly expression. Song said with an ugly face. As for Wu Chun, she ignored him. It's fine. Destroy it and build another one. Seraphal waved her hand. As long as she could get rid of Dustless, she would do anything. Allah Allah Allah. You have a lot of complaints against me. Looking at the meteorite falling from the sky, Dustless sighed softly. His whole body emitted an emerald light. What form is this? Everyone was astonished. Dustless suddenly emitted an emerald energy fluctuation. There were also a few spheres hanging behind him, ignoring the existence of gravity. He was like a god overlooking all living beings. Seraph, let's stop playing house. Even if you're tired of playing, you should stop fooling around. Dustless said softly, but he didn't expect these words to ignite Seraphal. Get your facts straight. I'm not a kid. Seething with anger, Seraph stomped her little feet in anger. As expected of a child. Only a child can be as willful as you. The several jadeite spheres behind Dustless were affected. They all turned into liquid and gathered in Dustless's palm. A strand of golden light lingered in his hand. Dustless calmly raised his right hand as he looked at the falling sphere. Golden Wheel Reincarnation Explosion. The golden light flew out from Dustless's hand and extended several thousand meters in an instant. Furthermore, due to the continuous transmission of chakra from Dustless, the Golden Greatsword's attack range grew larger and larger. It was as if the entire world was a live target for Dustless. Poochie. The towering meteorites were as fragile as cabbage and tofu. They were cut into two hemispherical spheres by the Golden Greatsword. How is this possible? Seraph exclaimed, her eyes dazed. This is the truth. Countless photons floated in front of Seraph, and Dustless appeared with the golden sky cloud sword in his hand. That's it. Next, it's time to enjoy my spoils. Seraph panicked when she heard this. She exhausted the remaining magic power in her body, and was about to run away when Dustless's sudden words discouraged her. The large amount of magic power gathered at the soles of her feet also disappeared. You may be able to escape, but your sister, she... you know what I mean. Wu Chun threw a coquettish wink at Seraphil and said with a smile, with a shameless expression, "Can't a despicable guy like you have the magnanimity of a powerhouse? What's the point of bullying someone else's family?" Seraph was at her wit's end and could only attack Dustless verbally. She sneered. "Do you think a person like you would bully ordinary weak people?" Hearing this, Dustless smiled and said nonchalantly, "Go ahead and scold me. I'll take my revenge on your sister later. She can't run away anyway." "You." Seraph's face darkened. She had hoped that Dustless would regain his integrity and give up the despicable tricks of threatening people. Who would have thought that Dustless was completely hopeless? Not only did he not feel the slightest bit of shame, he became more and more enthusiastic. "What do you want? Say it, and I'll definitely agree." Seraph gritted her teeth and said calmly, displaying the demeanor of a female nouveau riche. I don't care about those materialistic things. Treasures are no different from floating clouds to me." Dustless shook his head resolutely. He stared at Seraph's pretty little face and said maliciously, "What I want is very simple. There are only two things, far away on the horizon, and right in front of me." Seraph frowned and looked around instinctively. There was almost nothing around her that was worth her attention. "I don't understand what you're saying. Please explain yourself. Could it be? Scoundrel." A fiery hostility flashed in Seraph's eyes. She stared at Dustless's wretched smile, and immediately understood what he wanted. The magic power in her body that was about to be exhausted once again erupted to an unbelievable degree. "Stop." Seeing this, Dustless darted to Seraph's side and grabbed her tender white arm. He said coldly, "I advise you not to struggle before death." Pointing at the giant black hole in the sky that had yet to expand, Dustless said mercilessly, "I forgot to tell you that the energy that tore the sky apart was not created by you. It was created because I didn't control my power well." Chapter 1288. The black hole in the sky was created because I didn't control my power well. In the next few minutes, Seraphil's mind was filled with this sentence. She was already wondering how her power increased so much that she could easily break the world. It turned out that all of this was caused by Dustless not controlling his power well. This guy must be a god. Hearing this, Riaz and the others were very certain. They all looked at Dustless in shock, their faces full of fear and fanatical worship. In a world where strength was everything, the strong were the targets of everyone. Riaz's eyes were also filled with worship and admiration. "Bastard, what an unlucky year. You've been possessed by the god of misfortune." Compared to the happy Riaz, Kanna was different. Her white face turned black, and her tightly clenched fists were covered in sweat. Offending a great god for such a trivial matter. Song's intestines were green with regret. It was impossible to turn back now. There was no way out other than accepting Dustless's conditions. "You don't seem to be willing." Dustless looked at the struggling Seraphil as his tone was full of ridicule. Let Canna go, and I'm willing to listen to all your arrangements. Seraphil could only take a step back. She didn't want to get involved in this. That won't do. You are all mine. With a straight face, Dustless said stubbornly, You didn't forget what you said before. Have you ever seen a reasonable demon king? Do you think I need to reason with you now? Seraphil opened her mouth, but she couldn't think of anything to say. She didn't even reason with Dustless just now. Why would he talk about morality with her now? Not only you and your sister Canna. Looking past Seraphil, Dustless stared at Canna's blessings and said savagely, Her blessings are also mine. Seraphil, who lost her balance, almost fell. She said angrily, This is a bandit's agreement. Bandit? Then I'll be a bandit for once. Dustless said with a ferocious expression. You can be lawless, but why should I follow the rules? I don't need to follow your rules. I won't even look at them. Ah! Seraph screamed in horror. She suddenly realized that she was being held by a pair of big, hot hands, and she could hear heavy breathing. What do you want? Choking with sobs, Seraphil looked straight into Dustless's scarlet eyes. There was clearly some kind of desire flowing in them. She was so scared that her face turned pale, and her nerves reflexively retreated. However, Dustless's thin and weak arm was as heavy as 1,000,000 kilograms. Not to mention breaking free, it was difficult to even shake him. By the way, Rhea seems to be the fiancée of this rude beast. Something flashed in the corner of Seraphil's eyes as she said, If I'm not wrong, Rhea should be your fiancée, right? Don't you want to consider Rhea's feelings? If she doesn't mind, I don't mind either. Seraph mustered up her courage and said in a tone that even 100 bulls would not be able to pull her back. If Rhea doesn't mind us doing that in public, I don't mind either. Not only that, I'll even do all kinds of positions that you like to please you. Idiot, you took the bait yourself. Hearing that, Dustless chuckled and looked at Rhea frivolously. He asked, My cute Rhea, do you mind? Seraphil also looked at Rhea nervously. Rhea's answer would determine her fate. Will you listen if I mind? It doesn't matter if I mind or not. Do whatever you want. Rhea was speechless as she looked at the stunned Seraphil. She was walking into Dustless's trap on purpose. Would a person who could destroy the world with a snap of his fingers listen to the arrangements of a little woman? Rhea knew Dustless's true thoughts. He might care about her, but it was impossible for Rhea to influence Dustless's will. Then I won't hold back. You said you would do all kinds of positions to please me. If you dare to go back on your word, I'll go play with your sister. Dustless did not try to hide his intentions. His words were extremely explicit, and he did not care about Seraphil's feelings. He unleashed his powerful aura and pressed Seraphil down to the ground from the sky. Croak, croak, croak. Chakra vibrated. Dustless's clothes turned into snow. He did not set up any barriers to prevent anyone from peeking. He was enjoying himself. In Dustless's words, they were going to be on the same side in the future anyway. There was no need to be secretive. Time flew, and 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. After that day of tormenting Seraphil, she was willing to listen to all of Dustless's arrangements. She was also very obedient and did all kinds of positions that made one's heart race and face blush. Dustless had a lot of fun playing with her. Her only condition was to let Sangna go for now. Even though Seraphil was forcing a smile, it was still the same sentence from before. Dustless was enjoying himself. Dustless did not think much at the time, and agreed to Seraphil's condition on the spot. He told her that Sangna was in the Horse King Academy, and her sister was one of his most loyal servants. He was not afraid of the little girl playing any tricks. Another boring school day. Sigh. In the classroom, Dustless was sleeping on his desk. He looked at the eloquent teacher on the podium and felt very conflicted. It seemed to be harder to deal with than a shadow-level fighter or a general. He was not interested in killing him. A normal human was not worth it. I have something to tell you. Rhea pushed Dustless's arm and whispered into his ear. Aisha doesn't have a place to stay at the moment, so I've arranged for her to stay at Junai's house. You and Aisha can switch rooms. You can sleep on the sofa. Chapter 1289. What? You want me to sleep on the sofa? Dustless's eyes widened as he looked at the serious Riaz in a daze. He never thought that he would end up like this, facing the danger of being chased out. Are you kidding me? This is a very serious question. I can't accept this condition. After being stunned for a few seconds, Dustless decisively retorted. Although his skin was thick, and it was the same no matter where he slept, being chased out by Riaz was not a good idea. It's cold now, it's easy to catch a cold. Dustless rubbed his nose as he complained unhappily. To be honest, he had been feeling a little unwell for the past few days. So I can catch a cold too. Dustless could not help but sigh as he noticed that his breathing was a little irregular. Looks like you really do have a cold, but there's no need to worry about such a small illness. Just take 2 pills and rest for a few days. Zhu Nai has an air conditioner in his house. If you feel cold at night, you can turn it on. Riaz was obviously a frequent guest at Zhu Nai's house, so she was very familiar with it. This stupid woman. She doesn't understand what I mean at all. Dustless was disappointed. He glanced at Riaz from the corner of his eyes and smiled meaningfully. Forget about the air conditioner, I need a considerate electric blanket. Electric blanket? Is that a popular thing now? Hearing that, Riaz was stunned. Her eyes were filled with confusion. She knew that Dustless was implying something, but she did not understand what he was talking about. Your comprehension skills are really bad. Dustless rolled his eyes at Riaz. He grabbed Riaz's hand and got straight to the point. The electric blanket I need is different from the normal ones. Not only can it dissipate heat, but the most important factor is that it can warm up my sad mood of being chased out of the sofa. Simply put, it's a human body electric blanket. Electric blankets are so weak, they're too outdated. Not only can the human body electric blanket warm up the bed, but it can also warm up the fragile heart. When necessary, it can even be used for sex. It's an omnipotent weapon. It was close to evening on the path home. Achoo. Wu Chen sneezed uncontrollably, and his expression was somewhat dispirited. You can catch a cold? Zhu Nai looked at Dustless suspiciously and took the initiative to put some distance between them. How could someone who could easily defeat the Demon King get sick? He instinctively felt that the person in front of him was impersonating Dustless. What the F***ck? Didn't they say that patients should be warmly cared about? Everyone cares about you. Why is it that when it comes to me, it becomes a trick? Everyone chases me away. Dustless cursed madly in his heart. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He suddenly felt that he was incomparably miserable. I'm sure that this is Dustless. I will never forget the smell on his body. The blonde girl's face flushed red. She looked very shy, but her eyes were full of courage. She took the initiative to stand beside Dustless. If I'm wrong, the two of you have met less than 5 times. Why are you so familiar with each other? Hearing Isha testify for Dustless, the doubts in Zhu Nai's heart disappeared. It's because you didn't care about me, okay? That's why you didn't notice such a small detail. Dustless looked at Zhu Nai speechlessly and shook his head. That's right. To make it up to you, I'll make you a sumptuous meal today. When Dustless and the other 2 came out of the supermarket and rushed home, the sky was already dark. About 4 hours later, Zhu Nai finally finished cooking dinner, but it was very sumptuous. Dustless ate with grease dripping from his mouth. The way he wolfed down the food made it hard to associate him with a powerhouse. Those who didn't know better might even think that he was a beggar who hadn't eaten for days. Eat slowly. Drink some water. Don't choke. Isha handed him a glass of water, like a little wife. She was much gentler than Zhu Nai, who was watching the show with his hands on his cheeks. Era. Don't look at me with such resentful eyes. I'm not Riaz, nor am I a member of your harem. Leave this to Isha. Zhu Nai looked at him innocently. His words made Isha's face turn as red as a ripe apple. Isha, glaring at Zhu Nai, Dustless thought to himself. You're not one now, but you'll be one in the future. Even if you don't want to do it, I'll forcefully conquer you. After slandering Zhu Nai in his heart for a while, Dustless looked at Isha. His skin was thicker than ever. Isha, why don't we do this? We're very familiar with each other anyway, And our relationship isn't bad. If you come, I'll have to sleep on the sofa. I've caught a cold too, and I'm sure you don't want to see me sleep on the sofa alone. So, why don't we make do for the time being and squeeze into a bed? I'll move out when Junai gives me his wallet. Dustless said shamelessly, completely ignoring Junai's expression of looking at a rascal. Pfft. Junai spat out all the water he just drank. He secretly gave him a thumbs up. This was a good reason. Hearing that, Isha's face turned even redder, almost bleeding. She looked at Dustless in embarrassment, nervously pinching the corner of her clothes. Her eyes were changing, and it was obvious that she was still hesitating. I'm just one step away. Seeing that, Dustless laughed secretly, and then pretended to be sickly. His expression was very similar, and even his temperament was filled with a sickly feeling. He kept sneezing. Dustless looks very sick. Let's squeeze into a bed for the time being. Besides, that's your room, so it's my fault. Chapter 1290. Do you want to share a bed with me? Junai's white skin flushed red. Looking at Isha's innocent and pure little face, she obviously believed Dustless's words without any doubt. She couldn't help but curse Dustless in her heart. Remember, Isha is only 15 years old. Isha, don't listen to his nonsense. There are still many empty rooms in the house. I will go down and clean them up later. This guy obviously has bad intentions, and his motive is not pure. According to my guess, he wants to take advantage of you. Junai bluntly exposed Dustless's purpose with her hands on her waist. This guy's speed is too fast. Dustless looked at Junai with resentment in his eyes, and finally sighed. After Junai's disturbance, his inner thoughts faded away. I will remember this for the time being, hee. In the future, I will take it back with interest. Glancing at Junai from the corner of his eyes, Dustless stared at her delicate little face, and a look of lust and infatuation flashed in his eyes. There is still a long time in the future, there is no need to rush. In an old room, Dustless stared at the hazy moonlight outside the window in a daze. His eyes were empty, and no one knew what he was thinking. Junai, since you arranged for me to sleep here, I might as well sleep on the sofa in the living room. Looking around at the surrounding environment, ripples appeared in his eyes. Wuchen complained discontentedly. This was a room for storing groceries, and it was also his temporary residence. I can't sleep. Dustless tossed and turned on the bed for a full hour, but he still couldn't fall asleep. If I want to sleep, I need to find someone to help me. The eyeballs were rolling and soon turned into a scarlet five-pointed star, which was also Wuchen's eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The void also began to gradually separate, and ripples visible to the naked eye spread. Kamui. His eyes slightly widened, and a girl with revealing clothes, a hot body, a pair of black wings, and purple pupils fell out of the void. Yo, my cute Ashima-chan, tsk, don't look at me with such murderous eyes. You should be grateful to me for letting you live until now, right? The purple extraordinary girl released from Kamui is a Monoshima. At the same time, Dustless also set up a transparent barrier in the room to prevent the outside world from noticing. I will kill you. His plan was destroyed by Dustless. Amanoshima was filled with resentment, his little hand shook, and a sharp spear of light appeared in his hand. You still don't understand the situation. Looking at Amanoshima, Dustless lightly raised his hand, and a small black hole appeared on his palm. 10,000 Mammoth Heaven Pole. The gravity shrouded the room. Amanoshima's body suddenly lost control, and fell towards Dustless. It was originally a powerful attack by Dark Cloud. However, due to the gravity's pull, Amanoshima fell into Dustless's arms like a sheep. Seeing this, Amanoshima's white jade-carved nose became crooked from anger. Her little face was red, and the murderous aura in her bright eyes was more intense than before. Now she was looking for Dustless to ask for more. Tehese. Looking down at Amanoshima from above, her beautiful body was completely exposed to Dustless's eyes. Am I going to be this guy's slave for the rest of my life? Amanoshima clenched her fists, and blood came out of her gums. Everyone has their own favorite life, and she was no exception. Now that she was imprisoned by Dustless, that overwhelming power made Amano-shima fall into despair. In front of Dustless, she was like a clown. Why don't we play a game? If you win, I'll let you go. Hearing this, Amano-shima's heart shook, and the despair in her eyes shone brightly. She excitedly grabbed Dustless's hands. Are you serious? You can't go back on your words. Of course it's real, but there are conditions. Since it's a game, there must be a winner and a loser. If you lose, you have to use your mouth to lick every part of my body. And you can't let go of any part. A wicked smile appeared at the corner of Dustless's mouth, and he suddenly thought of a new trick. How can I do that? If that's the case, how am I different from your slave? Amano-shima rejected him without even thinking. You're my slave to begin with. Hearing this, Dustless curled his lips in disdain, and took off his clothes, revealing his well-proportioned body. You have to agree even if you don't want to. Ricketless smiled cruelly, and under Amano-shima's fearful gaze, he pushed her to the ground. What are you trying to do? I agree to play a game with you. Amano-shima, who was scared to death, panicked. She did not expect Dustless to suddenly attack her. That's great. Dustless smiled cunningly and no longer showed mercy. Uft. Amano-shima teared up from the pain. She did not expect Dustless's game to be such a thing, and her most precious thing was taken away from her in such a blurry situation. Ahem, let me reiterate the rules of the game. After clearing his throat, Dustless said in a wretched manner. If you can't hold on, you lose, and if I can't hold on, I lose. After saying that, Dustless started to work hard without caring about his safety. How can you be so shameless? Amano-shima endured the discomfort in her body. She did not expect Dustless to be so barbaric, and the game he was talking about was obviously a disguised form of oppression, an unequal contract. Amano-shima was sure that she would be the one to lose in the end. Dustless's strength was there, and naturally, he was also ridiculously strong in that aspect. She could already see how she would look like when she licked Dustless's body. Chapter 1291. Time passed by quickly. Just as Amano-shima expected, she was defeated in the end. Compared to Dustless, who had unlimited stamina and energy, she was 1,000 miles behind. According to the agreement, Amano-shima had to fulfill the harsh conditions. Despite being defeated, Amano-shima still went back on her words and refused to follow Dustless's bandit treaty. However, in the end, she was no match for Dustless. She was too weak compared to Dustless. Be it illusions, physical attacks, or other abilities, Amano-shima could not be compared to Dustless. In the end, she had no choice but to compromise and accept Dustless's bandit treaty. Sigh. It's already midnight. It's time to sleep. I still have classes tomorrow. Wu Chen laid on the bedding with a lazy expression. Amano-shima had already left for 2 hours. His face still carried a bit of reluctance that had yet to disappear. Looking at the moonlight outside the window, Dustless pulled the bed lightly around 3 or 4 in the morning. Just as he was about to crawl into the bed, a dark red demonic light suddenly appeared in the room. A magic circle that Dustless was familiar with appeared on the ground. He could vaguely see fiery red hair. Lise, what is she doing in the middle of the night? Is she doing a spot check? Seeing this, Dustless temporarily stopped his sleepiness. He could not help but complain about Li's intentions. Let's see what kind of tricks you have up your sleeves. Dustless quickly closed his eyes. His breathing was stable and natural. His closed eyes looked no different from sleeping. Did I come to the wrong place? The girl's crisp voice was like the sound of nature. There was a hint of doubt in her voice. It was obvious that she was unfamiliar with the environment. This was obviously a storeroom where old furniture was placed. What is she trying to do? In the middle of the night? Out of curiosity, Dustless finally opened his eyes and secretly looked at Lise. Her perfect facial features outlined the girl's peerless beauty. Lise frowned slightly. There was a hint of doubt on her face. In her memory, Dustless did not live in a place like this. What's her goal? Seeing this, Dustless was even more puzzled. He guessed without hesitation. Is she afraid that I will dislike her? Dustless could easily suppress and defeat the Demon King. In this world, how many people were worthy of him? And Riaz was just the sister of a Demon King, so it was normal for Dustless to have such thoughts. No matter what, we're going to be a family in the future. How dare you doubt my character? Since you're going to be my fiancé, I'll never leave you. Dustless muttered to himself as he looked at Riaz's sorrowful face. As if noticing Dustless's weak movements, Riaz stared at the sleeping man and quietly walked to him. Under the moonlight, Dustless's fair face was eye-catching. Riaz's thoughts stopped for a moment, and the world in her mind was filled with only one Dustless. This guy. Thinking about Dustless's past, Riaz sighed softly. While the time they spent together was short, she knew Dustless very well. Invincible strength, handsome looks, and the confidence that he would never fail. Also, there was a domineering aura hidden deep in his soul. It all made people curious about where this guy came from. Riaz's face had a rare tinge of loneliness and self-deprecation. Dustless's strength was strong enough to suppress and even beat up the Demon King. There was no one in the world who could compare to him. And Riaz herself felt that she was not worthy of Dustless. After all, the gap between their strength was like a natural barrier that could not be crossed. This guy doesn't sleep well at all. He's like a child. Riaz realized that Dustless was no different from a child of a few years old. His body was even lying horizontally. Where did you come from? Are you really some unknown mysterious Demon King? Or the reincarnation of a god? With her hands on her cheeks, Riaz quietly observed Dustless's face. Her mind was running at full capacity as she began to think about the background of this person who could shatter heaven and earth with just a wave of his hand. I thought tonight was going to be boring, but it looks a lot more interesting now. Dustless's observation hockey expanded. Even with his eyes closed, Riaz's every move could not escape Dustless's perception. There must be something going on for her to visit in the middle of the night. Let's see what tricks you have up your sleeves. You're still far from being able to fight me. Just as Dustless was about to continue to pretend to be asleep, Riaz unexpectedly spoke first. The signs of pretending to be asleep are too obvious. Riaz's lips curled up into a sly smile and said, "Sometimes being too normal is the biggest flaw. You're acting so natural. To be honest, I'm very suspicious. After all, you're too different from how you usually are." "I see. I'm too smart for my own good." Hearing that, Dustless opened his dark eyes, and Riaz immediately jumped into his sight. "I say, Miss Minister, before you launch a sneak attack in the middle of the night and expose someone else's disguise, you have to give a reasonable explanation for your intentions." Dustless asked quietly. His expression was calm and extremely calm. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.